Oh, me. Yeah, so if you are just coming back to the room, we have a fun announcement. We can finally be the bearers of good news. Just kidding, we've always been the bearers of good news. This has been a great day, and y'all have been super flexible, not only bodily wise, as we've heard, but with the timing and scheduling. So we just want to thank you so much for your participation in that. Needless to say, the washrooms are working. So we do have water, we do have flushable facilities now, so feel free to run over there. That is a big clap. Yes, I would clap for that as well. Washrooms are good. And just a quick shout out to the planning committee for doing a lot of the logistics in the background to be able to bring that to you. But needless to say, we are coming back from the break and we have two great presentations lined up for you, talking about lived experiences of STBBIs from differing perspectives, with our first perspective being from a youth perspective. And who do we got, Cal, coming up here to talk about that?
All right, our next presenter is a member of the Haida Nation. William Flett identifies as an artist, volunteer, a peer to other young gay men living with HIV. As shared by William, my HIV diagnosis empowered me by connecting me with my community, strengthening my connection to my roots as a Haida artist. With the help provided by local queer community organizations, he was able to learn a lot about HIV, something that helped him grow and become a facilitator of the knowledge that once helped him. His values remain closely aligned with these organizations. William prioritizes science-based and innovative knowledge and works to make this knowledge inclusive, accessible, in order to foster a deep understanding. In his spare time, he enjoys playing games, catching up on hundreds of YouTube channels, and he has found himself subscribed to. Make him welcome here, friends and relatives from the Haida Nation, our next presenter, William Flett.
Front, next, and back?
Yep.
That's it, okay. You know, only the HIV in my body is still considered a youth. I don't think I am anymore. So yesterday I was doing a bunch of talking, even though I wasn't talking per se upstage, but I was talking a lot to people engaging in the market downstairs. So in order to save my throat, some of you singers in the audience are like, skill issue, you just need to be better at talking. You won't get sore throat if you are just better at talking. Well, another day maybe. So because my presentation is a little bit more about like two-spirit people having a voice and shaping the culture that we're living in, I'm gonna ask a few volunteers that are two-spirit to come up and join me. I think you're gonna be out of the way of the camera, so maybe that won't be too of a worry. So is there any two-spirit people in the audience that want to read a couple sentences here and there? Don't make me make your table transvestigate anyone.
How about I break the ice and say, I'll go up first? Yeah, I broke the ice now.
So clearly we need a lot of two-spirit voices to feel confident. Something to think about. Well, let's leave this last chair empty for now, and maybe if someone feels real compelled to run up stage and be like, you're saying something wrong, let me correct you. The chair's available. Make sure it's cold by the time you get up here. So I'm joining in from, normally I live in Burnaby, aka Vancouver, aka Halkimilim and Squamish-speaking people's territories. And I'm definitely kind of new to these lands. And I'd like to pay a little respect and thank you for inviting me here and having me the chance to share what I can and hopefully inspire maybe a third two-spirit person to feel confident in sharing, or just like maybe reading a sentence or two. So the Medicine Bundle project is what I'd be talking about today. And the Medicine Bundle project started as it started just because there was a whole lot of funding for HIV self-test kit distribution. And at CBRC, the Two-Spirit program team decided to distribute these HIV self-test kits to Indigenous populations by bundling them with Indigenous medicines. So it was a combination of Indigenous medicines with sexual health supplies, and the takeaway messaging and the purpose of that is to have this messaging out there that sex is sacred, whether it's happening in a bedroom, whether it's happening in a washroom, wherever it is, sex is sacred. And thinking of sex as sacred in this way, we hope to inspire people to be a lot more excited about their culture and have a lot more respect for the sex that they're having as well. All from the interconnectedness of community. Take that innuendo how you will. But I won't be reading per se a lot of what's on the slides, so if you want to get distracted, feel free to read it at any time you will, but there will be some slides coming up, which will have some quotes, because as you're working on a big project like this for a few years, and you're talking to community, you want to get a lot of advice from a whole lot of different pieces of community. So some of the quotes that appear in blue, for example, will be from the trusted messengers, and the trusted messengers were myself included, as well as a bunch of other mostly young adult people that were maybe living with HIV, maybe just knowledgeable about sexual health, but people that could reach out to a bunch of their community and engage people with the Medicine Bundle and give it to them on a more personal one-to-one basis. But there was also some other consultations that we had about what's a good way to run this project as the years went on. So we consulted some elders from the Feast organization, some people that received the bundles themselves, and more recently, it's in brackets here, the guidance committee. The guidance committee we launched as just a consultation group of real knowledgeable people. Recently, we've changed that program to be now the TCC, what's it called? The Two-Spirit Community Changemakers. Just trying to think of a fun acronym was the idea, from what I understand. But the idea is that they're just a council that keeps us accountable to the Two-Spirit, what the Two-Spirit community wants for the project. And with all this guidance, there's a lot of things to remember. How do you remember the months and months and months and months of guidance of conversation after conversation of people having all these ideas and all these things to this is what you got to do. This is what you got to make people learn. So it's a lot of things to remember. And the way that I've sort of tried to remember it in a way that helps me talk to other people about it is I've sort of grouped it all into these mnemonics, not necessarily teachings, just things that help me remember all of this. It's sort of tying it and making them parallel to the teachings of various medicines. So you'll notice here there'll be decolonial and Indigenous approaches. I think there's some parallels of how we think about decolonial approaches to SAGE, and similarly to some other things. One similarity I've mentioned a few times to a couple people downstairs yesterday is one that I like to talk about is sweetgrass in terms of community and elder collaboration, and that value as well. And in the spirit of the limited time that we have for this talk, I'll probably only talk about 2, 3-ish of them. But you're welcome to talk, if there's one screaming to you and you don't get me to talk about it today, then feel free to come down later in the afternoon and ask about, hey, what do you think of this? So some of these I feel are real understandable, but some need a bit of explanation. And maybe that explanation is going to be contentious. Maybe there's some risque ways to think about this for sometimes, which I'm only saying that because they're medicines and people really treat them with incredible respect and incredible teachings, and it's an absolute hierarchy of things. And what I'm not trying to do is twist those teachings or change those definitions. I've learned so much as people are talking about the values of cedar, for example, and what cedar means in our lives. And I've been thinking about how all of what the meaning that Cedar brings to our lives and carrying that over to how we think about empowerment, for example. So do one of our volunteers have a real favorite medicine or a favorite value that they would like to point out?
Yeah, one of my favorite values that I like to point out is the value of love, which / compassion. I think when you carry these aspects of love and compassion, it is able to create a safe space, not only for you as an individual walking in, but those individuals that are walking into the space that you're in as well. Yeah.
One of the values that I find really important is just being open-minded, and I think that just is something that helps the queer community and anyone who's two-spirited as well, especially with the work that I do. Being open-minded and listening to people and really deeply understanding what they're talking about is very important to me and our people to pass down knowledge.
Do we have a third person that has a value they want to share?
Otherwise, I'm going to pick someone.
If not, I can interpret this and talk about one thing that's coming out to my mind right now, and that's for Labrador Tea. The value here is conversation is knowledge and research, and I think this is like an important value in the context of work that we do as an Indigenous people, because as we think about research a lot, it's kind of a scary word sometimes because you're thinking like, I don't want to deal with hundreds of numbers and like, what is 5%? What is 12%? This is 5%. That's just totally yes, but this is 12%. That's no. That's complicated. That's often not necessarily what's applied. It's also very important research, sure, but something that I want a lot of people to recognize and think about when it comes to research is that conversation is research. It's just talking to like a dozen people about like how their day was. Maybe you bring up HPV and be like, hey, what do you know? What do you think we should know? And being like, okay, that's what you think. Here's a couple notes. Do you agree with what I wrote down? Is this wrong? Okay, you believe everything that's written down. I'm gonna carry this away, and with like 10 other opinions, I'm gonna share what the community thinks about HPV, for example. And that's some qualitative research rather than quantitative research. And it's definitely very important research to do. And it's literally just conversation. It's just some casual things. I think an animal spirit that represents love in this conversational way is the hummingbird. One of my favorite stories is of the hummingbird being in a forest fire, but this isn't necessarily about the hummingbird forest fire. I implore you to do a YouTube search just search up the hummingbird in the forest fire or the hummingbird in the Great Fire, and watch whatever comes up. It's a story that's shared among Haida people as well as some African people. But one thing the hummingbird is probably most famously known for, not including that story, is how anytime you see a hummingbird, it's usually drawn with some red flowers. And that's because it's talking to these red flowers and asking the flowers, what do you think about the definition of love? What's love to you? And it's learning about the definition of love, which is this incredibly difficult thing to communicate and learn and talk about to every flower that it meets in its life. That's its whole life, is learning about the definition of love. So that's why when people refer to the hummingbird, they call it like the messenger, or they call it the communicator, because it spends so much of its life learning about this incredible thing that's difficult to talk about. And in the forest fire story, it sort of demonstrates its love in a very courageous way. So it's more than just like only femininity or only masculinity in the hummingbird's life. So I think that's a good parallel to what some of these people are sharing. So I have some quotes in, where is it? I might have gone past it. Conversation is knowledge and research. Do any of our volunteers want to read? Oh, perfect. There's only 2 quotes here.
Perfect. Bundle recipient. The bundle needs to be provided by someone who understands the teachings and significance that can provide the support. A lot of non-Indigenous people don't have the necessary teachings. This needs to be done in a safe way.
trusted messengers. Hearing advice and insight from elders is both necessary and desired.
What do you think of the quote so far, maybe a bit of this value? Again, the values that you shared are very connected to it. Also, if you look on the picture, the value here is associated with Labrador tea, and there's a little gif of it looks like some sort of bear sharing a tea of some sort. Side note, when I was making this presentation, someone showed me a slide they were doing. They were like, oh my God, you could add GIFs to Google Slides. I'm gonna do this forever. And I was like, I'm gonna have fun with the presentation that I'm making right now and add some GIFs to it. So maybe these GIFs are relevant, maybe they're a bit of a stretch. But here's a bear trying to engage in some casual, polite conversation, some casual research.
I think these quotes definitely resonate when it comes to ethical research in Two-Spirit / Indigiqueer communities, because we do have a very unique experience in life. You know, we're not only we're having to deal with colonialism as Indigenous people, but we're having to deal with colonialism when it comes to the impact it has had on our historical acceptance of gender and sexual diversity. Where for Cree, we understood that like the spirit is the gender. It's not the colonial viewpoint that quite often looks at the physical body first and then states that, oh, your physical body is made up of a penis or vagina or maybe intersex, but like that's a different ballgame when we talk about colonization, cisnormativity. Hitting you with a lot of words, I know. But within that aspect of understanding that this binary has been placed upon us, we as Two-Spirit folks we're a living testament that colonization itself has never worked, and it will never work when it comes to our acceptance of our own community members. So when I see that we need to have folks who are lived experience, that for me highlights the aspect of safer, ethical research as we can dig into these nuances that I just very lightly peppered on you. But yeah, that's kind of like my thought of it. Also, the bear itself, I think, is culturally relevant, not only to Indigenous communities, but to the queer community. Shout out to my fellow bears. Anywho, if you're straight and you don't know that, just Google it. That's all right.
Ditto, except for the bear. I mean, shout out to the bears, but like, ditto. No, that was all really good.
I have a note here which is reminding me something that I forgot to mention earlier. The art on the side, the artwork on the side, not the GIF, is a drawing of Labrador tea. The artist is Neo Kasi. She's sort of like the extraordinaire herbalist that gathers all these medicines, but she's like a singer, drummer, horse rider extraordinaire. Wonderful person, but she's provided four of the sacred medicines, so half of the medicines in the medicine bundle, as well as sometimes she also supplies the lavender. So of the 8 medicines, Neo Kasi has provided a lot of teachings around these medicines, as well as some artwork to enjoy and to help recognize what the plant itself looks like. But I have a note here about Labrador tea as well that might be useful. Though primarily it's used for medicinal and anti-inflammatory, antioxidant properties, its spiritual uses help you communicate and understand deep truths. Let's have a chat over tea and learn. However, Labrador tea is not to be consumed in excess for toxicity, so you can't spend too much time learning forever and researching forever. Remember that the research you do is not just to be smarter, but to act smarter too, and to go into the world a smarter, more effective person, and more engaging, warm person. Any thoughts before we go on to the next value? Okay, so since we only have 2 volunteers, I'm going to ask our volunteers to find someone that is a trusted ally, and maybe that trusted ally can share a value of their own, and we'll think about how it can connect to these. Or maybe they'll just be like, yo, can you talk about cedar, for example, or can you talk about bear grease? Like, what do people want to hear about? Vote Cedar? Anyone have other ideas, or are we down with Cedar? Okay, Cedar is on 2A. Is someone sharing quietly and I can't hear, or is it just background noise? I think it's background noise. Do our volunteers want to read these quotes? Oh, what do you know? 2 quotes again. Perfect.
Bundle recipient. There's a lot of people that want to do that work. There's a lot of people that want to bring sexual health and harm reduction to their communities, but they don't know how to do it. I share the medicine bundle with those people and tell them this is how you do it.
Trusted messengers. Having resources that originate within community is a win-win for all. It ensures cultural safety, connection, and results.
Do you have some thoughts about those quotes?
You know, I really enjoyed the aspect of talking about tea, and gathering the knowledge is one thing, but then you're steeping the tea, which is gathering the knowledge. But drinking the tea is sharing the knowledge, absorbing the results, and then doing something with it. So I think these certainly talk about that in those ways.
Maybe some thoughts about how these quotes relate to empowerment, because there's a whole lot of talk about empowerment recently, but it's also like there's a lot of parts to empowerment.
Well, for empowerment, I think when you know like a sense of belonging, and when you have knowledge in the things that you grow up with, it is empowering for people to know that kind of stuff, to be connected to the land, to be connected to your people, and to be able to connect even just with elders and the knowledge keepers that are going to be transitioning and passing this knowledge down. I think it makes people feel like they belong somewhere, and I think that's something that we're all missing these days, is our sense of belonging and knowing that we're all in this together, and that the medicines are going to be what bring us together, whether it's harvesting them or talking about them. I mean, we're doing it right now. We're gathering and we're talking about medicine, so here we are with our sense of belonging.
Just a quick little note on that aspect when it comes to belonging and how accessible that the Medicine Bundle project is able to create cultural connections for folks who may not have that opportunity in their own communities, i.e. they're having to deal with maybe homophobic community members, transphobic community members. Let's say that they're sex workers or people who have been incarcerated, and then they have that kind of social exclusion that happens. So how are they then able to make that connection, not only to people around them, but also to their own culture, so they can get that deeper healing that quite often our medicines do? Because our medicines don't judge. Our people do, which is unfortunate. So by being able to have access to these medicines and start that journey of self-healing, I think is pretty jazzy.
You said you were going to say that word, jazzy. So I'm going to do a quick aside and talk about the GIF that was added, because it's very distracting and I just need to get it off. In the intro, in my intro, my bio that was used to introduce me, I mentioned that I was a gamer. I told them kind of indirectly to say it. I forgot that was included in the bio. But here's Mario, in a sense, being like, how do you make a GIF that shows empowerment other than like cheat and use a video game reference? But here's Mario getting empowered and all big and strong. But like, if you think about it, if you're aware about the video game mechanics, he's not necessarily like that much stronger per se. He's just more resilient. He could take an extra hit, but he's just as fast. He's just as smart. He's just as wily, so to speak. But he's more resilient and stronger from that. And I don't always like to use the word resilient. It's kind of like a sometimes impolite thing to call someone else. So maybe, well, Mario's Italian, he could take it. But in terms of like resiliency, it's sort of like impolite to say like, oh, this group of people is so resilient, because it sort of like gives off the impression like we don't need to help them, they can help themselves, which is sort of like why it starts to feel a little bit sour. But there are some people that totally feel empowered by the word resilient, and it's like a big part of their identity. So I'm all for people self-identifying resilient. Maybe Mario is self-identifying as resilient, who knows? And maybe that's part of what brings them strength, what brings them empowerment. But related to Cedar, right here, we also have a picture of a totem pole. And totem poles like carry a lot of stories. They show people a lot of like teachings and values, just through artwork and like standing up tall and proud in their community as they are. So there's a lot of spirit and good energy that happens and a lot of ceremony that makes totem poles happen, and a lot of artists that are involved in the community all working together. But Cedar's also involved in like longhouses, for example. Like a community comes together intergenerationally all in one house, and they grow up together. And in that growing up together, they're starting out as like youth that are just like figuring out the world and figuring out how they can be impactful and resourceful. And they don't like, naturally in that sort of setting, there'd be some automatic empowerment that just comes with survival and comes with community and that sort of life. And as we sort of like try and remember and tap into that energy of working together as a community, we need to rethink about like, now that we're not all living up so close-knit in the same community in our everyday lives, we need to think about how we can reach out to the community and find those leaders and those leaders to be, and like how do we empower them? What do those leaders need to shine, and what do they need to be amazing? Here's a note that I have written down. Cedar, like many of these medicines, has healing properties and uses. Some consider it our tree of life, as we have passed down teachings on its uses. As we have passed down teachings on how to utilize every aspect of cedar all throughout our lives in dozens of ways. One of the iconic uses of cedar is to use in totem poles, which are made and raised with great care and ceremony. What do leaders need to stand proudly among their community? What support do they need to feel empowered and carry out the change that you want to see, that they want to see? Any additional thoughts from our volunteers?
Especially for Two-Spirit folks or Two-Spirit youth who we're going into these leadership spaces, or maybe, number one, have never actually been asked to step into these leadership spaces. Sometimes you got to be very direct with them because we're quite often socially excluded due to homo-negative or trans-negative mentalities that unfortunately have been passed down due to colonialism. So when it comes to supporting leaders in these spaces, being very vocal about allyship, being very visible about allyship, and being very intentional about allyship. So this includes being knowledgeable, getting to know exactly what the terminology of 2S LGBTQ is, getting knowledgeable about like how to even introduce yourself as a person to all people. So that includes, my name's Jack, I go by he, him pronouns, what's your name, and what pronouns do you go by? That opens up a door to these Two-Spirit folks who may feel like, or may recognize, this person is utilizing this verbiage, so that shows to me that they could potentially be a safe space. When it comes to being in these leadership positions then, it's taking time to sit down with them and hear about some of the nuances that they have to deal with. So this could include having to push up against systems that are cis-normative in general. That could be trans-negative experiences that they're walking into. Let's say someone misgenders them at a council meeting or a board meeting or any one of these other spaces that these youth could be going into. Holding time for them to be able to just let it out, right? And being non-judgmental. You know, as I said before, these medicines don't judge, but unfortunately we as human beings, we've been socialized to think in certain ways. So by decolonizing ourselves and knowing that whatever issue that they're bringing forward, that's their medicine that they're walking with, and their truth that they're sharing with you is their truth. Whether or not we see it in our view, is that they experience it. So just being open to those aspects and loving them in those regards. Mic drop.
Do you want a mic drop into a third Two-Spirit person's hands? Well, if not, we're pretty close to time, so I think it's a good time to hand it over. And I do think it's a good closing thought, so I'm not going to offer too many more closing thoughts. But I will say that I have some zines down. Where's the first slide? Second slide. I do have some zines downstairs once I set up, probably halfway through lunch. After our photo of our 3 Two-Spirit people and nobody else in the entire room, all Two-Spirit people definitely encouraged to participate in this group photo, even if it's like less than 10 of us. That's fine. I think it'd be real memorable to have, like, we should have our own photo. End of story.
Awesome. Round of applause for William Fletch. It's great to have the voice of Two-Spirit folks within these conversations because, as we know, when the AIDS epidemic started to kick off in the 80s, our Two-Spirit folks were at the forefront of these diagnoses that were happening. And unfortunately, we're also at the forefront of the discrimination and stigma that happened within some of our communities. So by talking openly about the various experiences that we go through, we're able to start to continue that healing process. And we've gotten to a point, where Two-Spirit folks are seen as their jazzy selves. I'm going to keep saying it, by the way. But we still have a long ways to go. Residential schools introduce these ideas of heteronormativity, the assumption that everyone you come into contact with is straight, and the assumption of cisnormativity, which is the assumption that everyone you come into contact with is either a cisgender, male or female, which means another teaching point is that they were born or assigned female at birth, socialized as female, and now still identifies as female. Woman, right? Or isqueo, and then napeo. But in our culture, we also have understandings of trans and non-binary folks, which would be like napekan would be trans man, isquekan would be trans woman, and then iogueo would be a non-binary or gender amoeba or gender fabulous person. Right, so we have these teachings, and now we're just uncovering them, and it's so gorgeous to see it. But needless to say, I want to continue on with hearing from more Two-Spirit folks, and maybe that's just the bias in me. But we're going to introduce our next presenter, who's a really good friend of mine. I've known Trevor Stratton for probably about 15 years, I want to say. We've been in the world of CAN for about, well, I've been in the world of CAN for about 15, and Trevor much longer than that. And it is a blessing to see such activists and trailblazers continuing even on into this day when sometimes it can feel jaded. You can get tired about the work that we need to do to push for destigmatization, for rights, and so on and so forth. But Trevor Stratton is actually a citizen of the Mississauga of the Credit First Nation, is a prominent figure in the fight against HIV and AIDS, particularly within Indigenous communities diagnosed with HIV in 1990. Stratton has been a resilient advocate and leader in this field. He has been involved with CAN communities, alliances, and networks for over 25 years. Trevor is now the Indigenous Leadership Policy Manager at CAN. His work has extended to various roles, including serving as the board president of the Two-Spirit people of the First Nations in Toronto, and board director and national advocate for the Canadian Foundation for AIDS Research, CANFAR. He has also been a professional consultant since 2005 and has maintained an active involvement in the Two-Spirit and HIV communities. Trevor, your story is one of turning a personal challenge into a lifelong mission to support others and advocate for change in public health and awareness regarding HIV and AIDS. So please give a warm welcome to Trevor Stratton.
Love that guy. Yeah, I was just reflecting on the panel here and thinking of the binary identities of male or female. To me, it's like black and white, right? And that's why the rainbow is the symbol of the gay community. Why? It's to show the diversity, that it isn't a binary world. It's actually the colors of the rainbow. And I heard a lot of talk about Thunderbird. What are the Thunderbird colors? The rainbow. Interesting, eh? I always think about that because I finally found my name. I'm 60 now. Blows my mind. I've been living with HIV 35 years. I just found my spirit name in Anishinaabe. And it translates into Thunderbird Heart, Binesio Deowan. So I'm on this new journey. I'm accessing the traditional Indigenous First Nations healthcare system, the one that was denied to us, the one that was removed through colonization, through residential schools and all the rest. And, in my family, in my community, we're so colonized, we're colonizing each other, we're colonizing ourselves. Now we're doing it laterally now. It's not just coming from other places, we're doing it in our communities. So but I feel like I'm rich. I'm privileged now in my older age. And when I mean rich, I mean that access to health, the access to my culture. It's all opening up to me now. And I'm going to talk about that. I had a presentation, a canned presentation. I don't mean can our organization, I mean in a can. And after hearing, the presentations, I threw that away and I'm like, I'm just going to let the ancestors flow, right? I'm just going to let the energy flow. So that's what I wanted to talk about. I am from Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. I live there now. And in our community, we moved from the Credit River. Toronto is our traditional territory. 175 years ago, we moved from there. And back then, no one in our community spoke Anishinaabe, our traditional language. That's how colonized we were. Toronto, just imagine it. Right? 3.5 million, 4 or 5 million people there now, right? But I'm not only Mississauga Anishinaabe, I'm also Mohawk. My grandmother's Mohawk. She went to the Mush Hole, the very first residential school in Canada, the Mohawk Residential School. But on my dad's side, my dad's English. My mom's light-skinned already, and my dad's white as the pure snow, right? That's why you're seeing this pink Indian in front of you here. And so I got English and French too. Ojibwe, Mohawk, English and French. I'm like the War of 1812 is happening inside me here, right? Our people fought with the English and with the English against the Americans during the invasion. And it was the Indigenous people that turned the tide. There would be no Canada if it weren't for our people. You know what I mean? And we did it because they promised that we'd have an Indian country in Wisconsin and around that area, and they reneged. They lied, of course. You know about that. But I worked for CAN. It was an organization was called the Canadian Aboriginal AIDS Network, and it came together in 1997. But a lot of work led up to that. It just didn't happen out of thin air all of a sudden. In the years before, we used to call ourselves Aboriginal People Living with HIV and AIDS, or APHA. And we tried to, not me, the people who mentored me, tried to create NAFAN, the National APHA Network. And they couldn't do it. And they realized we can't do this alone. We need all our relatives there. And there were people, we were saying, no, we just wanted people with HIV because we're the only ones that understand. To some extent, that is true, but we can't isolate ourselves, right? So there we were. We've been incorporated since 1997. I was diagnosed in 1990, so there's a lot of attention now on HIV and aging. And to me, that's a celebration that I'm getting older now. The life expectancy of an Indigenous person isn't 80, right? So do I have 25% left? And what am I going to do in this next period now that I'm going to live, right? I didn't think, I was preparing to die. They told me when I was diagnosed in 1990, before there was any effective treatment, they'd tell you, you know, make your will. Make sure all your things are taken care of, and make a living will, so that when you get dementia and you're swinging your pee bag around in the hospital, that your wishes are followed. So you have a living will, so other people aren't making decisions on how you die. That's what we were dealing with, and that's the people that came together in that environment to create the Canadian Aboriginal AIDS Network back then. I remember, you know, when I was 6 years old, me and my brother were playing cowboys and Indians with those little plastic toys in the basement, right? And we were just kicking the hell out of each other because we were fighting over who would be the cowboys, because they were the good guys in all the shows we watched. And the Indians always, they were the bad guys, and they always lost. And my mom came running down the stairs, what's going on, what's going on? And she sat us down. We sat cross-legged in front of her. She sat on the bottom step in the basement there and talked to us with love. And she said, you know, we're Indians. She told a story about being born and raised on the reserve and the poverty and the one-room schoolhouse and the separate door for the women, the girls, and separate door for the boys, and they weren't allowed to be together, all that stuff. So, and then she went upstairs and we looked at each other and then we started fighting again because we both want to be the Indians, right? So we want to be the good guys, still want to be the good guys. My parents got divorced when I was just 7 years old. So we were raised, my mom didn't actually want to be Indian. Because of the stigma and the discrimination she experienced and the racism, she was ashamed of being an Indian. So she moved off the reserve and she married the whitest guy she could find, and she had, you know, Prince Andrew and Prince Philip, you know, they're the two little white boys, you know. She wanted to be white, but that didn't work out. She couldn't. She wasn't white. She looked white, but she wasn't. And we moved from Sault Ste. Marie, from that big old house, back to Niagara, the Niagara area where our traditional territory. And that's when I really got to know the Indigenous side of my family. And they were all Christians. They're Pentecostal Christians. And so my grandmother's house, a lot of people from the reserve would come off reserve because they moved off the reserve, come to my grandma's house, my grandma and grandpa, and they'd have these church meetings, these prayer meetings, and they'd be singing gospel and stuff and doing all these speaking in tongues and all kinds of stuff. And I was just like, whoa, wow, we're Indians, all right. Oh, wow. And I used to sing with them because I love singing, and I love singing with my mom and her two sisters, the three sisters, right? Corn, beans, and squash. No, just kidding. But I love singing with them. And I remember asking my grandmother, my Mohawk grandmother, who went to residential school, I was like, do you remember anything traditional from your grandparents or anything like that? She said, no, don't ever ask me that again. That's devil worship. That's devil worship. That's evil. And that's against God. I found that hard to accept because I knew that there were Indian ways before the white people came. I knew that. And she also saw that I was not like fully masculine like the other boys. I didn't like baseball. I didn't want to go climbing trees with the boys. I wanted to sit down and talk in circles. And my grandma said, you're possessed by the demon of lust, because she could see that I was two-spirit, right? She could tell. So this was hard for me. How am I supposed to belong here? A white, pink Indian, trying to figure out what does it mean to be Indian. I didn't fit in with the white people either because I thought different. I had this funny accent and stuff. And so that was really strange. And I felt kind of judged. And I lived like that. My mom dealt with a lot of mental health issues. I mean, she'd talk to people that weren't there, and it wasn't spirits, it was just mental health issues, or maybe it was spirits. But, and she got into prescription drugs a lot. You know, she'd be eating Gravol and Tylenol ones over the counter and getting stoned out of her mind. Like, she couldn't do anything. We'd cook, we'd do it. She'd scream out the cooking directions from laying down on the couch and everything, right? We'd be out there cooking. We learned to make bannock and cheesecake and all kinds of cool stuff. But, you know, but it was hard for me. It was hard for us because we'd have to take care of my mom. And I was older, so I'd stay up with my mom and basically babysit my mom and protect my younger brother. I wanted to protect him. I love him. And it was hard. It fucked me up. It messed me up. I got that. It was passed on, right? And I had to get out of there. I had to leave to find out who I was. But before that, I was working. I was failing out in school and everything. Even though I was really smart, but I was failing. I hated them all. And I started I was hitchhiking to school. I was hitchhiking to my job and stuff. And I got picked up by this older man who offered me, he said, it was Christmas Eve. And Christmas was hard for me. And he said, I'll pick you up after work too. So you don't have to hitchhike. I'll just pick you up. And you can come to my place and visit. So I did. And I ended up having sex with that old man. And he paid me money. And I went and bought drugs with it. And I had to lie to my friends. They were like, where'd you get this? Because I'm a big man. I got a bag of pot. We're all going to smoke, having our rituals. So all sit down. We're working it. We're rolling it. And it was like a ritual. It was like a ceremony. And we smoke it together in a circle. Yeah. And eventually I left home and moved to Hamilton. And I found out where the Gay Hustler Street was, and I was actually working it, looking into the cars as they go by and just what's safe, what's not, and going having sex in cars and stuff like that. And I met another hustler guy, a young guy, and that was my very first boyfriend where we both openly, hey, I'm gay and so are you, why don't we, he was blonde and blue-eyed, and I was like, I got infatuated. It wasn't really love because I didn't even know what that was. And, he had a little apartment. We were trying to go to this alternative high school. He got me in there, failed out of that too. But one day he said, hey, you're coming over. I invited the girls from across the hall to have dinner. So these two girls came over, our age. And one of them had she had sparkles in her eyes looking at me, and she invited me over to sleep at her place. And I did. And I had always attracted to tomboys, girls that were kind of masculine. And I had friends, boys that were kind of feminine, and I liked that middle place too. And so I was all over the place. I didn't know what the hell was going on. And I had no one to talk to either. So me and this girl, we had a baby, teenagers, we were just kids. Had this baby. He's 41 now. But I was chased away because I was the faggot with AIDS. But they thought, baby's probably going to have AIDS. Let's sign her up for an abortion. We eventually started talking. Oh, I love you, crying. Let's run away. So we ran away, went way up north in a bus, and waited up there until the legal limit for having an abortion passed. So they couldn't. It was illegal to have a baby after so many weeks. We broke up again. It was violent. It was horrible. Neither one of us knew how to love ourselves. Didn't know how to love ourselves either. So I ran away, and eventually I got another girlfriend, an Ojibwe girlfriend. We moved to. She was going to university. We moved to Toronto, and I started to. Our relationship started to break up too, because I could only be attracted to dysfunctional people, because that's what I knew in my life. That's the only people I knew when I was being raised, is people who were broken, like me, like my family, right? So that's what I didn't realize it, but that's the best fit, right? I was shaped like this, kind of like this, and I fit with the person that was like this, we fit, because I was used to that. That's what I looked for. I didn't know I was looking for that, but that's what I was looking for. And eventually that didn't work out. I started to find, I know there's gay bars here somewhere. I'm going to go look. Eventually I found some sugar daddies, and I ended up moving in with a sugar daddy, right? An older man with a good job. I was eating steak. I thought I was naturally skinny. I went from 145 pounds to 200 pounds in 6 months eating like that. I didn't know, I was rich all of a sudden through sex work. And I also worked, so I was able to save a lot of money. Well, to me it was a lot of money, a few $1,000s. I quit my job, I quit everything, gave up my apartment, and I flew to Europe on my birthday, on my 25th birthday, and I hitchhiked around Europe for 5 months, all by myself, camping and stuff. And sometimes I get free places to sleep by doing my old hitchhiking thing and finding the generous older men thing, you know. And I came back from Europe, and my friend had tested positive for HIV. A friend who I had had sex with before. And I cried with him and everything, and then I thought, fuck, I better go get tested. So I get tested. I went to a mall, and I went to this doctor I didn't know. He's like, what are your risks? He didn't want to test me. He didn't say, you don't need a test. And I had to tell him, yeah, I did this, I did that, and I do that. Okay, I'll do you a test. Wait 3 weeks. Something wrong with the test, we have to test you again. It didn't work. Went in again. Tested again. Went another 3 weeks. And I'm just like, anxiety. And this was before the internet. I had no TV. I was living in a rooming house. No phone, no nothing. I was just there all by myself. Finally, he says, the second test came back messed up too. We need to send you to a blood doctor. What do they call it? Hematologist. And another test, another 3 or 4 weeks waiting. And she told me over the phone, you have HIV. You tested positive. And we'll set you up an appointment in 5 weeks at the clinic. You come on in and we'll support you. So I was in that rooming house all by myself. And I remember going into that clinic. And when they were trying to talk to me, you know, it was like looking through a pinhole. I got tunnel vision. I couldn't see anything except through a pinhole like this. This is how it seemed. Everything was black except this tiny bit of light I could see. People were trying to talk to me, and they didn't realize, you want to talk to me, you got to get in through that pinhole, because I ain't freaking out, right? And the only guy that helped me was the guy that already tested positive. He said, so you've been shopping for coffins yet? And I laughed my ass off. That was hilarious. And we laughed together about our situation. We brought humor into it. That healing humor, it helped me. Just to talk to somebody else who was in the same situation as me, that helped me. To be with other people like me. That belonging, eh? I felt it. I felt good about that. And I was in Toronto, so in this gay bar, it's a leather and denim gay bar. Right? It was called The Barn. It was 3 floors, and there was all these, you know, bears. These hairy, big, usually kind of fat guys, big bellies, hairy, and they got this harnesses and leather. There was a lot of those guys in there, and I was just this little kid in there with HIV, you know, and I realized there's a bunch of Indians in here too, and boy, that one's cute. I went to talk to him, so cute. Johnny was so cute. And he was a hustler, but he was homeless. And he was a gay hustler, right? And he was from way up north somewhere, spoke his language. But anyway, he said, I need to bring you over to the corner here. Just checking the time, geez. And these 2 guys want to talk to you. And I looked over in the corner, these great big biker-looking guys in leather. And I thought, oh, shit, now I'm really in shit. What's going to happen now? So I'm like, okay, Johnny. And then the biggest one comes up to me like this and says, hi, my name's Muffin. And that just, all my armor came down. And he just gave me a big hug, big blubbery hug. And that felt, stop that. And that felt so good. And the other guy was Art Zocol. He was the executive director of Two-Spirited People of the First Nations, the very first Indigenous AIDS service organization in Canada. It was started up in 1990, the same year that I tested positive for HIV. And they said, you know, after a while I got to know them. They buy me a beer once in a while. Hey, come on over. This is Indian Corner here. And I look around. Oh, wow, it really is. There's like 20 of us here. And eventually they asked me, you should come work for us. And I thought to myself, I got nothing, man. I'm worthless. I got no skills. I have nothing to offer. I have nothing to contribute. I'm not good enough to do this. So, but it helped me to know that psychic energy, that they're out there. People like me are out there fighting, struggling with love for us, you know, our people. And I love to see Two-Spirit people come up here and being welcomed and loved, because that wasn't like that before. Our community said, there are no gay people. That was never part of us. You guys are evil. This is not us. This is not Indigenous. You don't belong. You should leave. That's what we got. So that was really hard. In, let's see, 1990, a few years later, 2 years later, in 1992, so I was 2 years living with HIV, I went to Jamaica. I borrowed money on a whim, went to Jamaica. I was camping on the beach, and this woman walked out of the beach with no top on, beautiful, like a mermaid. And I was just like, ah, wow. And she just walked past me, and I said, hi, and she just kind of like, you know, you're nothing. And she came and tucked me after, and we did drugs. We did some magic mushrooms together, and we went snorkeling. I felt like Jack frickin' Cousteau down there, man. And, but we got close. We were both like that, right? But we hung out together. And that night she said, and I was leaving the next day, she said, I want you to come and sleep in my tent with me. And I was like, oh, shit. Am I going to tell her that I have HIV? Am I going to tell her that I haven't been with a woman for 6 years? I didn't tell her anything. I went and slept in her tent. I didn't, actually, neither of us slept. We might have got a half an hour sleep. But we didn't have sex, but we kissed. And we hugged each other and we talked. It was so romantic. I never felt so good in my life. And next morning, she quickly scribbled her phone number on a paper towel or something, and I kept that. Found it when I got home. It was in a ball, and I was like, I think it was her address, and I wrote her a letter. And we were pen pals for a while until she said, I want to come visit you in Toronto. I'm coming. I'm coming to visit you. I like you. And that's when I decided to tell her. I'm HIV positive. I haven't been with a girl for 6 years. And there was long silence. And then she said, I bet you thought I was going to hang up, didn't you? And I said, of course. Of course. And she said, I'm still coming. And when she came to visit me, we had sex. And I used 2 condoms. Don't do that. I didn't know. I did it out of respect. I wanted to protect her. I thought 2 is better than 1, and double protection, but you know, you're not supposed to do that. They rub together, they can break. But it was wonderful. It was a loving sex, which I was not used to. It was pretty strange. So eventually I moved to Seattle. I flew to live with her in Seattle. She was American. She was a New Yorker. And I lived there for 3 years, and I stopped doing this security guard alarm monitoring stuff, which wasn't rewarding at all. And I started to be an organic farmer with her. She was into organic farming, natural, without chemicals, and nurturing the land and feeding back the land, giving back. And she was into social justice and human rights. And she had all these friends who were enjoying life. They were artists. And they were a mechanic who loved his job, loved building cars. Everybody she knew loved what they were doing. And I was like, wow, I didn't know this could exist. So, you know, I realized I could be that. I could do that too. But eventually my son got a hold of me, and I realized I needed to come back to Ontario. She moved back with me. And we started an organic farm there, but I started to get sick. I started to get AIDS. And in 1996, in Vancouver, at the International AIDS Conference, they announced this new antiretroviral treatment, drug cocktails that attack the virus in 3 different ways that knocks it down so it can't replicate it so fast anymore and goes to sleep. And people were getting off their deathbeds and going back to work, and that's what happened to me. I eventually took the medications, but at first I refused until I almost died because of the injustice that half of the people in the world were dying of AIDS and they didn't have access in Africa to these drugs. And I'm going to take it? That's not fair. I choose death. And it was my son and my girlfriend who can talk me into it and do it for us then. You won't do it for yourself. So I did. And I got off my deathbed. And my mentor, I met mentors, Art Zokol. I got on the board. I became the president of Two-Spirited People of the First Nations. I became the president of the Ontario Aboriginal HIV/AIDS Strategy. And a two-spirit warrior named Laverne Monette taught me about harm reduction and how it equals love and how we need to keep people alive. And there's no judgment. So what if they do drugs for the rest of their lives? That's not, why should I judge that? But there are other people that do get off, and it's their choice. It's their autonomy. We can't force people to do anything. And she taught me all that. I also got on the board of the Canadian Aboriginal AIDS Network, and I became their treasurer. And after 2005, after 3 years of doing that, I felt strong and supported enough. I felt like I belonged. I started to identify as Indigenous and everything. And I went to work for these organizations. And I was still using drugs and alcohol. And they didn't judge me. I wasn't ready. I only quit drinking alcohol 4 months ago. I was drinking 2 bottles of wine a night and still doing this good work. And I was smoking cigarette. I quit both on the solstice at the same time. The reason I was able to do that is because I moved to my reserve, built a house, and suddenly our traditional First Nations healthcare system opened up to me. The sweat lodge, the healing ceremonies, the water ceremonies, healing retreats. I went to this healing retreat, it freaked me out. I swear it was like an exorcism. We sent a very powerful spirit that was with me away. The boss is gone. Now I could see these smaller, all the ones that work for the boss, alcohol, marijuana, all of the things that I think, the way I think, my depression, these things, I could see them now. So and I'm drumming on the Thunderbird drum. That Thunderbird's part of my name. So, and now I found out what praying means. I was praying that I could be the pathway for others in my family to have access to our healthcare system, the one that was taken from us, our right, the one that was based on the land, and I have that now. But what is the spirit of HIV? Does HIV have a spirit? Can we talk to it? Can we do ceremony with the spirit of HIV, with the spirit of hepatitis, diabetes? Are they spirits? I don't know. I'm asking these questions. I went to a shaking tent, and I was afraid to ask questions like this. I'm kind of afraid of the answer. Like, do companies have spirit? Does the pharmaceutical industry have spirit? The one that has such high prices that 25% of people living with HIV are going to die of AIDS because their countries can't afford it? Is there a spirit? Do we have to do ceremony around this? And my life goal was to build a house on my reserve and to do this. And now I'm there. So what am I supposed to do? Die now? Maybe that's my question. What goal? What should I be doing now? I think it's working. It's transferring anything that I know and being that pathway, but helping to transfer any knowledge that I have to our youth, so that our youth don't have to go what we went through. Right? And what I went through is different than what my mother went through, is different than what her mother went through, right? It's different. But the fact is, when I heal, I had a dream, my uncle. We were holding each other by the shoulders. He's long dead, the oldest of my mom's siblings, and he was sparkling eyes, and we were looking at each other in the eyes, and we were laughing, and we were jumping around like this, celebrating. And I told his daughter that. She says, when we heal, our ancestors heal. Oh, wow. That felt really, really good. And I realized that health is not the absence of disease. That's not the definition of health. We all focus on getting diabetes and tuberculosis and all this. It's really important, but that's not the definition of health, that we have no diseases. Why can't we live in bliss? The way my uncle was looking at me, celebrating life and showing our ancestors how beautiful we are by looking our best, by wearing our jewelry and wearing our colors because they prayed for us. They prayed for that, for us to have a good life and to live in bliss and to be beautiful. Look how beautiful you are. Your ancestors celebrate. Our ancestors celebrate our lives and our beauty because they value us. They value spirituality, how it's all together. And when I'm on that drum, I had a seizure, and I'm going to end up now. I had a seizure, a grand mal seizure, a few months ago, right out of the blue. And I for a month after, I couldn't think straight. And I have to think to do work, right? And nothing was working. I was going through therapy and stuff, and I hadn't been on the drum for a while. I couldn't make it there. And I went to the drum, and we were drumming, you know, on the Thunderbird drum. That Thunderbird again. It's all over in my life. And we had a 4-hour drumming session, and the next Monday, I don't know, all my ducks were lined up. I could think in a straight line again. And I was really productive that week because I accessed, that's our traditional healthcare. So that's part of it. These ceremonies, the drumming. And I can't explain it through science why it worked, but it did, and I know that. I know my ancestors are with me. I can feel them. I can't see them. And when I'm on the Thunderbird song, that's my medicine. That's my medicine, and I think it's my responsibility to share medicine. We should share our medicine to help us live in bliss. So I'm just going to quickly end this, and because Jeff Wastasikut, the way he ended was excellent, so I'm going to quickly just sing you a little bit of Thunderbird song that I learned. And it goes like this, and I'm going to do what Jeff taught me. Here's the drum. My heart's the drum. Yeah, hey, yeah, hey, whoa, ho, ho, yo, ho, ho, way, hey, 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 way, hey. Waya, hey, waya, hey, waya. Pinese, iwama, mi gwe chindena. Waya, hey, waya, hey, waya, waya, hey, waya, hey, waya, hey, waya, Jimmy Gretsch.
Oh, it's just beautiful. Thank you so much, Trevor. You bring good medicine, and within this work, having all of these medicines together is very important. And thank you so much for your lifetime and dedication to this. But now that our hearts are full, let's work on other parts of our bodies, such as our tummies.
It's lunchtime.
Yeah. Before we go to lunch, I just have one quick reminder for anyone who does fall within that Two-Spirit umbrella or Indigiqueer umbrella to please go ahead to the front door entrance so we can do a quick little drone shot with all of y'all.
A very happy drone shop. It's the happiest day in the world, and you have a Starbucks in your right hand.
I do, actually.
All right, you're all free to enjoy lunch. Elders first, younger elders, older adults, and so on and so forth. Enjoy your lunch. One job, Jack. One job.
Falling for myself.
All right, they're firing up the drone right now, so give Waylon Bunnies a minute, and all of you join us out front.
check.
Hurry up and wait and stuff like that.
met you a long time ago. True that I'm thinking about you all the time. Does that mean I'm in love with you? Hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh.
What's that? I know.
We gotta humble ourselves in the eyes of our Creator. We gotta bend down low. We gotta humble ourselves in the eyes of our Creator. We gotta know what He knows. We can raise each other up higher and higher. We can raise each other up. We gotta humble ourselves in the eyes of our Mishomis. We gotta bend down low. We gotta humble ourselves in the eyes of our Mishomis. We gotta know what He knows. We can raise each other up We gotta bend down low, we gotta humble ourselves in the eyes of an alchemist. We gotta know.
Jack, what do you think of the likeness there on the screen? You and I, Chief Tanya. Yeah, the likeness. Pretty good. Does look like you. I don't know, something happened with my nose on that one, but I am a little darker tone than you. Ah, I got some sun. I like it. Darker the berry, sweeter the juice. I think we're just about set here, friends and relatives. I know one thing we didn't do yesterday, you know, and I don't know, there's some of the servers in here and the cooks in the back. How about giving them all a big round of applause for taking care of us here the last couple of days. Thank you very much to all the servers and Scapio Suck, and the cooks. We thank you very much. And we have a young lady that's going to provide some entertainment for us here today. I'm going to bring her forward at this time. She's from the Soto First Nations. How about a big round of applause for Rylan Swiftwolf? Still holding it too close? Is that what it is? All right, friends and relatives, give her one more round of applause here as we welcome Rylan Swiftwolf to the stage to provide us with a song.
Hello? Hello. Okay. I'm gonna be singing Rise Up by Andra Day. So here we go. You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can find the fighter by see it in you. So we're gonna walk it out and move mountains. We're gonna walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up high like the waves. I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I'll rise up and I'll do it 1,000 times again for you. For you. For you. the silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet and move mountains, bring it to its feet and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up and I'll do it 1,000 times again for you, for you. All we need is hope, and for that we have each other, and for that we have each other. We will rise, we will rise, we'll rise, oh, we'll rise. I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I'll rise up 1,000 times again. And we'll rise up high like the waves. We'll rise up in spite of the ache. We'll rise up and now we'll do it 1,000 times again for you, for you, for you. That's it. Thank you. Actually, I have one right here. Okay, I'm gonna be singing The Climb.
Wayfair presents wall art and decor.
There's an
Create your gallery with art deals so good they feel like a heist.
kind of move around. I'll try. see it, that dream I'm dreaming, but there's a voice inside my head saying you'll never reach it. Every step I'm taking, every move I make feels lost with no direction. My faith is shaking, but I gotta keep trying, gotta keep my head held high. There's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna want to make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. Ain't about how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's a climb. The struggles I'm facing, the chances I'm taking, sometimes might knock me down, but no, I'm not breaking. I may not know it, but these are the moments that I'm gonna remember most. Yeah, just gotta keep going, and I gotta be strong and just keep pushing on. There's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna want to make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. Ain't about how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's a climb. There's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna want to make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. Ain't about how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's a climb. Yeah. Keep on moving, keep on climbing, keep the faith, baby. It's all about the climb. Keep the faith, keep your faith. Oh.
Ryland Swiftwolf, ladies and gentlemen. Good job, Ryan. Second generation Indigenous singer. Of course, Crystal back in her heyday. Whoa. Give Mom a big round of applause.
Know what they know. We We gotta bend down low, we gotta humble ourselves in the eyes of the crawlers. We gotta know what they know. We can raise each other up higher and higher. We can raise each other up higher and higher. We can raise each other up higher and higher. We can raise each other up.
When the day has come, wondrous colors come to bloom. There's beauty in the sky. It tells us we're not alone. Hey-oh, hi-yi. Hey-oh, hi-yi. Heavenly blessings from up above. Hey-oh, hey-hey-hey-oh. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, countless colors come to bloom. There's beauty in the sky, it tells us we're not alone. Yeah, hey, oh, hi, hey, hey, oh, hi, hey, heavenly blessings from up above. Hey, oh, hey, hey, oh.
Tapwe mana kape puat semoyek, kape ne me toyek. Hotane kamoyek, haya heya, haya way, haya way, heya way, haya heya, haya haya. Tapwe mana kape puat semoyek, kape ne me toyek. Hotane kamoyek, haya heya, haya way, haya way, heya way, haya heya, haya haya. Tapwe mana kape puat semoyek, kape ne me toyek. Hotane kamoyek, haya heya, haya way, haya way, heya way, haya heya, haya haya. Tapwe mana kape puat semoyek, kape ne me toyek. Hotane kamoyek, haya heya, haya way, haya way, heya way, haya heya, haya. Tapwe mana kape puat semoyek, kape ne me toyek. Hotane kamoyek, haya heya, haya way, haya way, heya way, haya heya, haya. Tapwe mana kape puat semoyek, kape ne me toyek. Hotane kamoyek, haya heya, haya way, haya way, heya way, haya heya, haya. Tapwe mana kape puat semoyek, kape ne me toyek. Hotane kamoyek, haya heya, haya way, haya way, heya way, haya heya, haya.
Congrats.
All right, I think we're gonna try and get going with our afternoon. For those of you that are here, we'll ask you to take your places, and I know some people are still outside. We are gonna do a draw when they're ready. What do you got first, Jack?
A draw.
A draw for, it's our local health clinic has a draw. They want to do that right away, so maybe I'll get them. You have the draw? Bring it on up. And these is for 2 gift bags and a check for $5,000.
Yeah.
Man, you guys are generous.
What do you need? What do you need help with?
Battle River Treaty 6 Health Center. Give them a big round of applause. They got 2 gift bags, so 2 draws. All right, my man. You tell them who it is.
And we're going right here. All right, our very first individual that we have coming up here is Lydia Laughlin.
639-384.
Do we have a Lydia Laughlin?
Gotta be here to win, right? Is that the rule?
Are you out smoking?
What do we do? What do we do? Redraw?
Does anyone know this person?
Hands up if you want to redraw.
Redraw? Redraw.
Redraw. You missed out. You're not in here. These people are here ready to go for the afternoon.
Democracy.
We call redraw.
Democracy.
Democracy at its
Love
finest.
it. Alrighty then. We have an Eric McKay. Eric McKay.
Oh, he's gone. You know him.
You
Tell
know
him
him.
he missed out. Keep on
Are we
going.
going again? We're getting-
Hey, whoa, whoa, hey, you got to be here to win. You got to be here to win.
Are you-
Yeah?
Okay, all right.
You can't
There's,
say, that's my bro. No, that's not how it works.
Just take off your hat.
You got to be here and ready to go. Let's go.
Lacey Hegland. Lacey Hegland.
No Lacey?
Another Lacey.
Oh, Lacey's here.
Oh, Lacey! Right over here, to the right, to the right. Yes, good on you. See, you came back from lunch. Right over here.
All right, we got one more, man.
Lacey gets first dibs on what to choose.
Oh, shopping.
Lacey is taking the $5,000 check.
Oh.
All right.
Left it.
And we have Tamara Sunias. Tamara is one of our peers. One of our friends. Yes? Yes? Yeah.
But not
Okay.
here.
But not here, yeah.
Not here.
We're going to stick by the rules. We're going to stick by the rules. Because rules are fun, as Monica from Friends says. Tanya Netmaker. Tanya Netmaker.
Not here.
If you're in the washroom, yell. No, not there either. All right, next up we have Macy Thomas. Do we have a Macy Thomas? No, not yet? No,
Going
no.
once, going
Macy, if
twice.
you're in the washroom, yell.
Going 3 times?
No.
You Macy? You don't look like a Macy.
All right, next up we got Kobe Baptiste. Do we got a Kobe Baptiste?
Oh, same table.
Another bro.
You know Kobe.
Go. There you go.
I don't know if that's the
Yeah.
lucky table or the unlucky
Yeah.
table.
Check his status card. He's gonna. All right, we got a Deb Buffalo. Deb.
There you go.
Deb
Deb.
Buffalo.
Come on down.
All right. Good on you, Deb.
All right.
So glad that we can. Thank you so much, Battle River, for that great draw and amazing prizes, and the $5,000 that we will split again amongst ourselves. That's okay. Okay, moving on.
Is Nova here?
Okay, we are going to
we can
give.
do our presentation.
We didn't do our presentation.
We can.
We can.
Yeah. I'll tell Carrie.
Okay. I am going to make some noise and just remind folks that there is the community fair downstairs. They do have a couple little trinkets still left to be sold. So if you yourself wants to take something home with you, feel free to go and buy those. It's supporting local. They're gorgeous. They're amazing.
All right, so Nova is going to be next on our agenda. She is about 4 minutes away, 5 minutes Newfoundland. So just enjoy each other's company. But one more time for the cooks and the servers in the back, give a big round of applause on an awesome 2 days. All right?
Yeah. All right, friends. We are coming back from our quick little break after the very exciting draw that was offered by Battle River, which thank you so much once again for that. We are going to move along with our presentations here today. We have moved the schedule around a little bit, so we're going to be walking into a presentation with Nova Fox. And then we're going to have a break at 2 p.m. and finish off our afternoon with the Outstanding Community Leadership and Recognition Awards and our closing remarks, which will also include a little bit of a presentation that Elena Starrett, who is the graphic reporter person that you've seen in the corner over there, will showcase what has been the product that we've all talked about. But regardless, we're going to move along here with Nova Fox.
All right, hold on. We gotta do a little intro here for this young lady. She has a fan club, obviously. Nova Fox story is one that grips the heart and mind, taking you on a journey through addiction, gang life, and eventual healing. Raised in a world where trauma was as common as the air she breathed, she found herself battling demons at a young age. Her story is not just about survival, but about rediscovering the strength within her culture and community. Growing up in Ochapowace First Nation, Nova witnessed substance use at an early age, which became a coping mechanism for her. It wasn't just the pills or the gangs that defined her life. It was the resilience she discovered through reconnecting with her Cree heritage. Through humor and raw honesty, Nova reveals how laughter and community have become integral to her recovery journey. She navigates her new life. She embraces her role as a Cree language influencer, a comedian, using social media to spread awareness and joy. Nova's story is a testament to the power of cultural connection in overcoming addiction and an invitation to reflect on how embracing one's roots can lead to profound healing. If you're looking for an inspiration or simply want to hear an incredible tale of resilience, please make welcome Nova Fox.
I'll just go up here for now. Cheskwa. Tansei Kakiao. I didn't write that, by the way. I didn't write all that nice stuff about myself. I was like, where did he get that? That sounds really good. I was pretty surprised when I walked in here this morning. I thought I was speaking to the homeless people. So my dad's like, don't be dressing up. You're going in a sweatsuit. So I apologize for how I'm dressed. So I'll start the story about where I'm from. Tansei Novelina Tsigas in Ochapowace, so it's in the Namama, Okamawaga, Nefisayan, 4th Vice Chief Heather Bear, Egwa, Notawi, Okamau, Pai Pot First Nation, Market Tsigas. So those are my parents, that's where I come from. And if it wasn't for my parents, I wouldn't be here today. Oh, you can hear me? Okay. Little res girl here. My first presentation I did, it was just with like a speaker and a microphone in a fishing lake. So it's pretty crazy that we're here today. So anyways, I grew up on Ochapowace First Nations, and my story starts with like humble beginnings with my parents. They weren't always like great people. Don't say that we're great people because they always say to be humble, but we used to live in a little house, we call it Kennyville. And Kenny's the last name in Ochapowace First Nations. And there used to be an old mushroom my mom used to drop us off at. His name was She-Sheep. I think that was his name. We used to pull off his leg for hours, just pulling off his leg for hours. So those are the kind of memories I have in my early years. My parents broke up when I was about 3 years old. They started having issues with each other. I don't know what was going on. I was too little, but I was with my dad. And I was going around with my dad on a big escapade in the city while he was fell off the wagon, I guess. He was getting into intravenous drug use, him too, gang life, and he was robbing motels across Saskatchewan. He went on a big robbing spree. So we were all over the place. We were living really nomadic. And as a little 3-year-old girl, I felt like the trauma I was already on high ends, right? All the time. So when I went home, I actually started sucking the tit again. My mom said I used to just lift up her shirt and embarrass her. So I guess that was my first coping mechanism. So anyways, going around with my dad, he always says I could tell this story because it's my story and he's not embarrassed about where he comes from. So I was going around with my dad, and I remember even sitting in the car while he'd be going to rob a motel. And then we'd go and he'd have all this money. And once in a while, my dad would be very sick, and then all of a sudden he'd be up doing things. And I understand that now that that was drugs, right? That was him being on the drugs and being dope sick. So my auntie, Velda, so I learned a lot of cool things along the way as a child. I remember they used to have people looking out all the time, and they're like, hey, I think they're coming. So my auntie cut open a hole in the back of the couch, threw my dad back there, put it against the wall, and threw all of us babies on there. And I remember when all the cops came in, I remember looking at my cousin being like, oh no, they're gonna find him. Because being 3 years old, I already knew what my dad was doing was wrong. Like I didn't know, I just knew. I don't know how I knew, I just knew it was wrong. So we hid out for about a good 3 weeks, he says, because I know this now. Couldn't tell what time was back then, but he said it was about 3 weeks he was on the run. And I was sitting in the living room with all my cousins and my brother just had a pamper on. And I remember looking at my dad from that living room, and he was making me something to eat, and I was thinking, oh no, they're gonna come get my dad. They're coming for him. I felt like this high-strung feeling inside my heart and in my chest. And those cops kicked down the door, and they were wearing those raccoon hats. Do you guys remember that, when they used to wear those? And they cuffed up my dad, and they started beating up my dad in front of me, and me and my brother were trying to help. And I remember them just throwing us, me and all my cousins, like across the room, because we're just little Indian kids. They don't care, right? So they were really rough. So my interaction with the RCMP has always just been very negative from the beginning, and I think that's why I had a mugatude in my later years. So my dad got picked up that day, and I remember never seen him for 10 years after that. Got a phone call here and there, but not all the time, because the phone bill was always getting cut off. So he could never just call us consistently. It was always like, this year. Plus, back in the 90s, having a phone wasn't a big deal. You just go to the band office and use the phone, right? So we'd use the bundle for a little bit, and then as soon as it was cut off to where we had to pay, we wouldn't use the phone anymore. So I remember that morning, my mom came. It was about 5 in the morning, and she came in her vehicle, and she came and got me and my brother, and I remember being like, oh, finally, she's here. No, just kidding, Mom. But she took us back to the reserve, and that was like probably the best decision my mom could have made, because had I stayed in the city with my aunties, I would have been a life of being in foster care. Because not too long after I left, I guess my aunties were following in suit. My dad wasn't the one out there making the money. Now they had to go make the money, so they got charges and they went to jail. So that's just how everybody is on my side of my family, on my dad's side. Everybody just goes, and I guess that's the kind of reputation I wanted to have too. I wanted to be tough like my aunties. You know, I wanted to fight. I wanted to do all these things because there was nobody to really look up to, right? So my mom takes me to the reserve, and she got a job. It's real cliche. She got a job at the band office, and that's where she started to learn her political career from Chief Denton George. That was our chief for many years. So she used to drop us off at my Chapman X house, and they're very old people, Katayak. And I used to wonder why she used to drop us off there, because they would just sleep all the time. But when they woke up, they had such great stories to tell. Like, you guys, I'm so lucky. My Mushum Kenny, his name was Marlo Kenny Weshkoham, and he had dementia, but once in a while he'd come out of it, right? And he'd be telling us stories of the trickster of Waisaki Chuck. I could say his name because the snow was on the ground. And he'd tell us stories like that. It was so cool. Like, I was that last generation in my family, me and my brother and my cousins, to see that. Our kids didn't get to see that. You know, from the old people, you know, these people lived towards the end of the teepee days. They used to go hide in the bush to do ceremony. Like, that's how important ceremony has been in my family for many years. My Musha Marlo Kenny Weshkoham's cooking, we have a picture of her. They finally pulled it out years later because it's evidence, right? It's evidence of them doing a ceremony in the bush. And yeah, my mom telling me, yeah, they had to go hide in the bush to do these things. It was illegal. So it's pretty cool. At a time when being Nietzsche was illegal, my family still knew that, how important culture was. So my Mushimi is very spiritual. There was no phones or social media back then, but he knew when a visitor was gonna come. He'd be like, oh, there's gonna be a visitor on, put on the tea. He'd tell his old lady, Mike Chapman, he'd be like, put on the tea. And sure enough, 20 minutes later, somebody would show up there and they'd be having tea and he'd be helping them. So yeah, he was pretty cool like that. And then my Kuka Margaret, his wife, she was a medicine woman, and she did both ways. She really respected the Bible. She said there are some good stories in there that really reminded her of the old stories of the traditional ways. So that's why she respected that Bible. She used to always say that I knew about schools. I knew about those residential schools at a very young age. They were still open on my reserve, the day schools and stuff like that. But I remember her saying that we never agreed to convert our ways and our religion. It was just to learn the education. But this Bible here could help you. She used to always tell me, respect scripture. There's going to be people that are going to cut it down, but don't be like that, because that's not how our people are. We don't judge. So these people were very kind people, just nice, hunted, picked medicine. I know how to pick a rabbit from the butt like that, just in one stroke. I just love it. And that's how I got to grow up. Meanwhile, while I was living like this, all my cousins were jumping from foster home to foster home. My aunties and uncles were all in and out of jail. And then my cousins were already getting involved with the gang life. I love my cousins. I don't care what people say about them. People today still say bad things. I know all of you have cousins too that make bad choices. So now I'm getting older, and I know I have these cousins out there, and I miss them because I'm trauma bonded with them. They were all with me when my dad was doing what he was doing, and I wanted to see them. So my mom, I told her I miss my family, so she took me to my Kukum Gloria's house. That's who raised my dad. This was a wicked woman, you guys. She was a survivor, so we all had patience with her, right? My nickname was Nova Effin Lee. She thought that was funny, and I was just little. And I told my mom, I said, Mom, you know what she called me? And she's like, what? She's like, you're never coming back here again. So that's the kind of woman my mom was. She doesn't like swearing. So anyways, I'm doing all this stuff, and I go visit, and my cousins, I'm hearing all these wicked stories of what's happening to my cousins, sexual abuse, physical abuse, of what's going on in the home with the man that lived there, that was married to my Kukum Gloria. Things like that, and they were trapped. There's nothing we could do about it. Tell social workers, they don't care. They just let them stay there, right? These people raised my dad. My dad has a humble beginning story. His parents died when he was very little, and those people took in my dad and his siblings, but they were very mean to him, mean to them, stole lots of money from them. He had good parents before they died. So yeah, they let them go live with that family because they were considered assimilated because they spoke English. They were Jehovah's Witnesses, and they lived in the city. That's why they were allowed to stay there, because they were trying to sell my dad across the seas in England, the 60 scoop. That's why I always say online that he's a 60 scoop survivor. So anyways, let's go back. So anyways, all these things are happening to my cousins, but things like this haven't happened to me. You know what I mean? Yet. So I feel for my cousins. I feel bad, but we just have to live it. So it was just normal, right? Yeah, they're going through this, but it's normal. So yeah, it was really good living like that, going to ceremony. My Indian name is Iski Squeo Keheo Kiwigimek, Earth Woman in the Eagle Lodge, and that's the lodge that I help work in. So I remember being very, very, I was very I guess mad, because women in ceremony, we have so much roles and teachings. We have to do so much, and I always felt like we were low or something like that. And my mushroom and my mom, they said, no, that means because you guys are up here, that's why you guys have to do that. You have to wear a skirt because your prayers, you have to stay away from the pipes because your prayers get there quicker than those pipes, the ospawagan. That's why you can't go near it. It has nothing to do with you being who you are as a woman. It has to do with how powerful you are. So that made me feel pretty deadly. I always respected ceremony. So now I asked my mushroom too, I was like, why do I have to learn these, man? Why do I have to be like this? And he's like, because he said, we have people that are hurting, and the ones that usually know this way, they come back. And that didn't resonate with me till I got older. I was like, what the hell does he mean by that? But I kind of knew a little bit, seeing people drunk on the reserve, walking around with their thumbs out. Drugs wasn't so much of an issue yet. And I remember those old people talking because I listened. I was a big grape. They used to call me radars. And I remember them saying, there's bad medicine coming. It's worse than this alcohol. And I know what they're talking about now. They're talking about that fentanyl. And I remember them saying, it's going to make our people drop like flies. And it just scared me years later when I go back in a ceremony. And I remember hearing that as a little girl. But they're like, this way is going to come back. People are going to remember this way. They're going to realize that being Indian is really cool. And this is going to help our people. So with me, it wasn't so much like a loss of identity being out there. I know for most people that's the case, right? Didn't grow up with language, didn't grow up with culture, ceremony, or anything like that. But with me, what I struggled with was how I looked. You know, oh, look at Novely, she's trying to talk Cree, she's just white. Look at Novely, she's trying to be deadly there, like, she's just white, you know what I mean? And why do you sound like that? You know? Many times I tried to sound white, you know, and it just didn't fit me. I didn't fit in with those white people, and I tried to go hang out with them. I didn't. I tried to go to town and do that. So I struggled with my identity like that. So now internet comes into my life, and there's High Five, MySpace, and that's how I get a hold of my cousins. And we find ways, because there's computers at school, right? We had a computer at home, but my cousins didn't have a computer where they lived at, so we'd always have to talk on the computer during the day. So I'd be like, oh, I have spare at this time, and she'd go and sneak out of class, Natasha and Cahale, and we'd video chat and stuff like that. I always found ways to communicate with each other. And I remember, okay, just 2 more years, and then I'm 18. Okay, 1 more year, and then I'm 18, because then they get out of the system, right? Okay, just 6 more months, and then I'm 18. So that's how it was growing up. And yeah, so education was my way to get out of there, to get off the reserve, feeling that shame. I don't want to be, if I stay out here, I'm gonna be an alcoholic, or if I stay out here, I'm gonna end up pregnant. Well, I ended up pregnant years later. And you know how we just romanticize shacking up out there? You know, I have patience with my dad was in the penitentiary, and my mom was always working. And I know they loved me. It's just it wasn't always, you know, wasn't always hugging and kissing. We get a hug and a kiss, but you have to do that 10 times a day. I learned in parenting, the parenting classes, you have to hug your kids at least 10 times a day, tell them you love them. So like, she was always working, so that part was kind of like, you know, a little bit being neglected. I remember seeing these 2 people, and they're still together today. They're macking on the bus, and I was like, oh, I want love like that. They're still together today, but there was a lot of toxicness in there. I was like, oh, Les and them are at it again. Oh, just did his name. So I remember seeing that, and the first one that came into my life, I'm gonna fall in love with this one. This is the one I'm gonna shack up with. And he ended up being a Christian. There's nothing wrong with Christians, but this one was the kind that thought our ways were evil, so I don't know why I thought it was gonna work out. So my mom would always make him like do the spirit plate, because she knew she'd watch him and make sure he's doing it right. He just didn't want to do it. Oh, he'd just be in that Bible, just freaking, what's that called? Doing the 10 Commandments, is that what that stuff is? 50 Hail Marys, praying on rice. Oh, no, just kidding. Sorry, I kind of kill it sometimes. So anyways, you know what, he lived in a little town in Yorkton, but anyways, I went over there, and that relationship was just, well, all of them were bad. All the relationships were bad. I didn't know how to be in a relationship, and I still don't. And I remember going there, and it was just, violent, getting really, really drunk, both of us. And I could see where he was lost, because he used to get really, really drunk too. And I knew it was because he was ashamed of being an Indian. And we'd wake up with wicked sore faces, you know, like, what did we do last night? So that's already, we were getting half out of it, you know, getting cutty. And so anyways, my cousins are all about a year younger than me, about 2 years, a year. But Cahale is like, Nova, I'm out. She's like, the government got me a place in Regina. You should come stay with me. I'll come stay, because in the government, when you're awards of the government, you'll get help till you're 21. So they'll pay for your education, they'll get you a place, and yada, yada, yada. So me and my brother are like, hey, yeah, let's go to the city, let's go. So big bunch of us piled up in the vehicle, and in my little red Honda Civic, and we went to the city. So I was still with this guy, but I was still like trying to disconnect from him, right? And whoa, did we just ever kill it in the city. Our first party in the city, we're like, oh, there's Nietzsche's there. There's Nietzsche's there. Let's go. There's Nietzsche's there. But those city Nietzsche's are different. We got there and I had my bottle and they're trying to jack me for my bottle and my brother comes in front of me. And this guy was big and they start fighting and they all try to pile on my brother. So me and my cousins went in there and we started fighting and we're going down into the back alley. Chisco. It's a back alley. And as we're going down, we're fighting and they're punching us and that guy's punching me and I'm just taking it. And there's those motion lights and every time we went down, boom, the light would shut off and another one would turn on. All of a sudden I seen KO taking off her heels, running and jumping in the air. So yeah, that was our first party in the city. And after that, the cops came and we're like, yeah, we just got into a big fight, but they didn't care. They're like, hey, whatever. They ran our names, but we didn't have nothing on us. Those other guys ran away because they had stuff on their names. We weren't in trouble yet. We just got to the city. So anyways, so that's when I realized Indians in the city were different. Nietzsche's. They were all gangsters and stuff like that. And they didn't know nothing about being a Nietzsche. They didn't even know the damn slang words. Tagay. I'm just kidding, not so bad. Sorry to our fluent speakers in the room. Muggy too. So now we're in the city and I'm around all these Nietzsche's because I'm craving Nietzsche's because I'm getting culture shock in that city. And I'm just like, these are who I'm hanging out with. And my cousins were big guys in the gang. I'm not going to say what gang it was, but they're big people in the gang. So we used to go roll around with them and, you know, we did bad things and I'm not proud of this. We did things like rush houses, you know, we hurt people. You know, we weren't in our right minds. The drugs and alcohol does something to your mind where you're not scared of anything and you have no shame. And shame for the bad things, you know, when you should have shame for that stuff when you're in the right mind, you know. So those are the kinds of things I did. And I tell my aunties, oh yeah, man, I went out this weekend and we did this and boom, boom, boom. And they'd be like, oh, right on, my girl, right on. And that's how they were. Like that's like, why are they praising me for this? It's because they didn't know, right? Intergenerational effect. And I remember I was getting into the hard drugs and I was at that house in the hood and my mom phoned me one day and she said, Nova, whatever is keeping you from your family, you got to put it down and come home. You got to come home. They kept telling me to come home, but I didn't want to come home yet. And so anyways, I applied for university. So like, I'm doing all this stuff, you guys, but I'm going to school. I'm still being able to. I'm like, oh, I could do this and go to school at the same time. This is easy. Like, went to university and I was doing it big there. The kind of the things I'm doing now, getting interviews with TV stations, going on podcast interviews, being in documentaries. I have that personality. That's just one of my gifts, and I embrace that now. And went to university. I was trying to go to SIAS at the time. But that guy that I was telling you guys about, he was always in my Mistagua in my head, always telling me I couldn't do anything. And my mom's like, why do you want to go to SIAS? She said, you got into university. You're smart. And I was like, I don't know why I could still go register for classes. Yeah, don't be dumb. After telling me I'm smart. So we go and we register for classes, and because it's Wicked Indian time, it's like September 6th, and you should really register for your classes when your time ticket starts, right? So like 2 months before the semester starts. So there's a big bunch of Cree classes that were available, and I was like, well, they're like, well, let's just put you in all these Cree classes. We'll put you in. If you take this Cree at the same time, you could take all of them. I was like, shit, I'm deadly at Cree. I'll take that. So my first semester, I got really good marks. I think I was like at an 85 because I was taking Cree, but there was only like three of us in those classes. And I was like, holy, there's only like 3 people I'm going to be able to speak to in 20 years. Oh. That's how it felt at the time. Nobody wanted to learn. So we tried to do these fun things at the university with Cree, with Darren Okamesis, Solomon Rat, all these people that were big in the education field. And we'd be like, hey, come after class. We're gonna do Korean. We do fun stuff like act it out and be simple. It was fun, and yeah. So I did good. So I guess I was holding on by a string. I had this day life of going to school, and at nighttime I was just being gangster and stuff like that. And I had this professor. He was my uncle actually. He's like, hey, we're almost first cousins. You know, I was trying to have a crush. No, just kidding. Oh, jeez. So anyways, he's like, yeah, we're almost first cousins. My mom and your dad are first cousins. And I was like, okay. And he kind of knew what was going on. He's not stupid. He grew up in the hood too with all my aunties and uncles. And he's like, hey, what are you doing? Because he noticed I'd come to class. I was starting to look sick because I used to take my dope with me to school. I was like, I don't know, I'm kind of getting involved with some stuff. And he's like, you got to stop. He's like, you're going to graduate, you guys. I only had 6 classes left. I was in that semester. And for education, we take about 5, 6 classes. We go full time. It's not 3 or 4 classes. They just make us go. He's like, you're just about done. He's like, don't give up, Agamimu. And I was like, no, I don't know, I'll try. But sure enough, a couple weeks later, I just crashed, lost my Honda Civic. I had that Honda Civic throughout 10 years. I didn't give it one oil change. It was a res car. I still see it running around with that drug dealer I sold it to. So anyways, yeah, I sold everything, my clothes, everything, and I went and stayed at my auntie's house. And I quit school, so it didn't take very long. Started to get into intravenous use. Holy was I ever ashamed of that. Never thought that I'd ever do something like that. Used to always see my aunties and my dad do stuff like that, and I would say I'd never end up like that. But me and all my cousins did. And, but anyways, they used to call them chops when we used to sell or whatever. And I had a bro named Big Sav. I don't know if you guys know him. He's in Blazing Natives and all that. And he had a Canada-wide warrant, and when he went in, he was hiding at my house because I was in university, and they would never suspect that he was at my house. So he stayed in the basement, and then I went out to the res one week, and I come back, and there's a bunch of yellow tape around my house. I was like, holy shit, what happened here? And they caught him. So the landlords kicked me out after. They're like, what are you doing? You got heating out my house. So they're just mad. So they took Savin, so he went in for about 8 months. By the time he got out, I was already junked out. When he got out, he was just like, what the hell is this, not you? And there's this video on Facebook, and I put it on my TikTok. It says, this is what friends are really about. That guy really tried to get me clean, but I ended up stealing all his dope on him and taking off with it and ruining a friendship for a while. And those are the kind of things you do when you're using. You steal from your friends. You do things that you would never do. So now the drug dealers didn't want to be around me, even though I could get like 10 chops an hour, you know what I mean? They'd be like, what's wrong with you? You used to be able to get 10 chops an hour, but I was doing it. And I would even go cut it with sugar and get caught like that too, and I'd have to get a minute, you know, like things like that. So they didn't even want me around anymore. So I went and stayed at my auntie's house for a bit. If it wasn't for her, I'd probably be homeless. But towards the end of my street life, I was homeless because she ended up passing away. For the streets got to her too much. So I stayed with her. So every day just asking her, please just lend me one pill, and I'll go hustle. And I started like boosting, makeup, neat, everything. And I looked muniao. So if I fixed up a little bit, they wouldn't watch me. So this is what we did. I'd have one brown person with me, and they'd act like they were stealing, and I'd just be the one just taking everything, and they'd be watching them. So that was a pretty good little setup we had. We were hustling. But you know what? They have this thing called floor walkers, you guys, and they meet up every week, and they'll be like, hey, there's this girl, she wears a bun on her head, she tries to be really nice, get you in there, she's manipulative, but she'll steal everything. You get that girl. So the day they just about got me, I went and I drove off with that meat. And I was like, I'm going to go do another one, because I was doing the drugs faster. I was like, I'm going to do another one. I got away. But I went in there, and I used to put on wigs. Me and my friend used to put on wigs too, because they started that face detection stuff, and we wanted to look different. So I put on that little matted wig, little Halloween wig, synthetic hair. And I went in there, and they knew it was me right away. So I had that basket, and I was running with that garlic. This is a true story. So I was running in those, I don't know why those East Indians always try to save the day. I'm sorry if you're in here, but they're not supposed to chase you, I guess. And he grabbed me, and I was trying to say everything to get him off me. I was like, I have a bad heart, stop. And I was like, I'll effing stab you. All of a sudden he just went like that, and I got away. But they got, down 2 blocks, they got me though. Like I was all over the place. They had the dogs out. And I was hiding all over the place in the dumpsters. All of a sudden I go running and I thought I got away and I went to 9th Avenue. And 9th Avenue is far from the hood in Regina. So that's how far I made it. And there's this big fence. And I was like, oh my God, I was running from the cops because you just see groups of people like how you do in NB, right? Like groups in Nietzsche's. I was like, holy, I just got away. And I was like, you guys, okay, let's switch sweaters. Come on, I'll give you this garlic. So anyways, now I hear the cops coming and I was like, geez, I gotta get out of here. And all of a sudden they let out that dog. And I remember Big Sam telling me, if they ever let that dog out on you, you put your hands up like this because they're trained just to rip you apart. And if you don't, they're gonna rip your ass up. So I remember I go running and there's this this big long fence like that. It was to a baseball field. And I go running and I go really, really fast. And I go up that fence and I flip over and I'm going to that dog. All of a sudden that dog just jumps over that fence. Oh, this is true. And I was like, oh shit, I'm done. So I go like this and it's just over me. And it's just, and I was like, holy fuck, oh, sorry. I was scared and I stayed like that, stiff as a board, man. And that's when I went and did my first bit. So they picked me up and they're like, you're not gonna get out this time because usually you get out on your own recognizance. They're like, you're gonna have to go to remand for a bit. I was like, okay, I guess I'll go. And I went, and I remember we went to Regina and they had one in Regina because it was getting overcrowded in Pine Grove. Even today, it's still overcrowded. I was having like 4-6 girls to one cell with no freaking air conditioning because it'd be broken down and stuff like that, living in wicked conditions like that in there. So anyways, I went to Pine Grove and I was there for about a couple weeks and it was winter time, so they drove me there. And then all of a sudden when I got out, I was like, well, where do I go? They're like, just go. They never, because the bus, that's when that guy did that thing on that bus and they sued him and they had no bus anymore because they used to give us a bus ticket. All of a sudden I had to walk, so I walked in and I phoned my dad from my payphone. He got me a room and he came and got me. But my mom was chief that time and I told her, Mom, they're making us walk. They're not doing anything for us. So she went over there and she raised hell. Now they make them drive us right back home to the reserve to our front door. Why are they making our women walk from PA, from Pine Grove to Prince Albert when they go missing all the time? They shouldn't be doing stuff like that. You could cart in 17 girls 3 times a day, but you can't take them home? Come on, man. So I think there is always a reason for everything. Like my mom always knew what was going on and she was able to speak up. Google her. She was always able to speak up. And she never had shame for me. She was like, hi, my baby, when she'd see me in the casinos. And one time she said I was wearing 2 different sandals. Papa, Scotch, why are you wearing those? So yeah, they loved me, my parents. And she was always busy though, but the one that really stood beside my side the whole time was my dad. And I think it's because he would live that life too. And I remember when going to court, every time I went to court, I'd go there looking penned out with my braids and my little grays. And I even wore a cross because I wanted to get out. And I got out that day. And I remember thinking, oh, when I get out, I'm not going to use. But it was just like a reoccurring cycle, you guys. Every time I got out, I thought I wasn't going to use. But my dad, the biggest enabler ever, taking me right there just because he wanted me to be safe. So I'd go use right away and then right back to the streets. So then off and on there, each time I went to Pine Grove, it was longer and longer. Now it's 6 months later. All of a sudden I go back in there, that girl's like, holy, I've still been in here since the first time you came in. Oh, I haven't left. These women in there, they're from, the majority of them in there are from Cody's, but it was like 95%, I think, First Nations, because I remember being on a unit, only 1 white girl. Another unit, only 2 white girls, And Pine Grove, you guys, it's 2 years or less, right? You go in there, I asked these Muniakois, I said, hey, that means women. I was like, what are you guys in here for? You can ask that kind of stuff. That's not true. You could ask, they're damn bored in there. First, you can ask what somebody did. And I was like, what do you guys do? Oh, I killed my husband. I was like, Shimei, what are you doing in here? You should be in the pen. she got a good lawyer. And our people are always having to plead out all the time because they get little legal aid lawyers. And then there was girls in there stealing meat like me, having to do the max sentence. Some of them in there doing it like 3 or 4 times stealing meat, so having to stay in there for like 8 months. Like, how is that fair? I lived it, you know? So anyways, those are that's how we're treated, man. It's just the system. So now, yeah, I get pregnant with my boy. Nothing could ever bring me home. All of a sudden, like, things started to, like, come back into my head, like, why am I doing stuff like this, you know? Because I did bad things, you know. I used with my baby. You know, he come out, I got graced by Creator because he come out a little beautiful baby, and he's smart, and he's just amazing. And that's the one who bring me home, because every time my parents would come drive out of the city, I'd be tucking and rolling outside the freaking vehicle because I didn't want to get sick. But this little boy, I remember that day when I went into labor, and my head was so messed up. I was like, I'm going to be sick. I'm going to be in labor for a long time. I got to find my pills. I used to do pills. And I was walking around trying to look for it, and I was in labor. Walking around, finally I found somebody who would hook me up. That I was trying to use the pity card to try, because I had no money. All of a sudden he hooked me up with like 4 pills, and I was like, hey, I'm going to go in now. And I phoned the 911. They came and got me, and I went there. There's already social workers and cops waiting there for me. I was like, holy shit, I didn't even have my kid yet. You guys are already here? Like, that's birth calls, you know? I know I wasn't doing right, but really though, why are they there? Like, there's women that didn't even do drugs and alcohol, and they would get those birth calls, you know? Birth alerts. So anyways, I'm going into labor. I was in labor for like 27 hours, and I had my boy, but I remember, you guys, it's such a funny story when I was in labor, because my baby dad was out in jail and stuff like that and doing his thing. And I remember my brother Robert came in with me, and he's so sensitive. And he's like, holy, he's like, they had to induce her, and they put this big metal thing in me. I was just, oh. And then, Mom, they're inducing her, get here. He's like, well, hold her hand. She was telling him and stuff like that, and he didn't want to be there. And my mom's so bossy. Finally, she gets there from Saskatoon, Green Chief, and she comes. I was like, Mom, they're not putting my bed to the east, Dad. Cook up said we're supposed to have the baby from the east, and you'll put her bed to the east, Dad. These women are powerful. You got to listen to them. This is an important ceremony. So we put it to the east, and my mom's like, I'm bringing that baby, and I'm the grandmother. That's how it's supposed to be. It's like my cookum was a midwife. So now I'm in labor, and I'm just, I can't do it. Mom's like, you can do it. All of a sudden, I could feel something rip. All of a sudden, his big head came out, because I have a big head too. All of a sudden, my brother started crying. My mom, get yourself together. Like, because she's a survivor, she doesn't like crying. So anyways, I'm having this kid. All of a sudden, my mom, as soon as that head comes out, she freaking bumps that doctor off the way, and she delivers my baby. That's a true story. Yeah, give her a hand. So anyways, when this little boy came into the world, I remember it was just like a flash. I swear to God, a Creator. And this is... a big flash came in, and I remember looking back and seeing all my family looking at my baby, because they were scared that he was gonna be like, look different or have an extra finger or something. And I remember them saying, oh yeah, he looks okay. Like, he looks good. He was beautiful, you guys, beautiful. But I felt bad because that baby had to be in ICU for like a month. And then after we left the ICU, he had to take phenobarb and morphine for another 3 months. So anyways, I felt bad, and I was like, why am I still using? Because I was using the whole time, even after I pushed him out, because my brother said he was going to take him. He wanted a boy. And I was like, oh, why am I doing this? I went out to the street, because I remember I left, and I was like, hey, well, my brother's going to keep him. They didn't want me in there, the workers and stuff like that. But this thing was in my back of my head. I was like, what the hell? And all of a sudden, somebody said, you turned into a mother. That's what happened. I was like, hell with this. So I phoned my brother, and I was like, brother, I said, are you guys still around? He's like, yeah, actually, we're leaving right now. I said, okay, can I come say see you later? He's like, because that's what we say, we don't say goodbye. Yeah, come say see you later to your son. He's looking better. So I go see, and I see this little boy, and it's just like a ray, you know, like angel had, I guess, looking angelic. And he's like, sister, he's like, you can either get in this van right now and get better, or you can stay here and die in these streets. And I looked at that baby, and you could hear him kind of like, you know. I said, I'm gonna come home. So I hopped in the vehicle and I was scared I was gonna tuck and roll and jump out. But I grabbed his hands and I held him like this all the way back to the reserve. And that's where this journey started after that, you know. So give Andros a round of applause, he bring me home. But it didn't get good there, like it was a lot of work, but getting home is the first step. So I get home and I'm trying to, I'm getting sick already. I'm 2 weeks home with my baby. I was even thinking of taking his medication. So I was like, no, I'm just gonna go do my hustle in the city because I used to do prescriptions, prescriptions. This guy taught me how to do it. And the rule was don't ever go anywhere else and do it because we had an agreement with this little Chinese guy. If you ever want to do a shady business, get a Chinese guy. Where is he? No, I'm just kidding. We want to talk to you after we're done here. Just kidding. Sorry, I didn't mean to center you out. So that was the rule. Indians can't do anything in a little small hick town, man. We get caught for everything, so I can't believe I tried to do that prescription there. And so I went and handed it in, and they were being all shady. I knew they called the cops, and they're like, oh yeah, we're just waiting for your prescription. All of a sudden, we go back and we see the cops there. My brother's like, I was like, oh, they're gonna pick me up. He's like, what for? I was like, I did something stupid. What did you do now? And I was just like, whatever. So they carted me back, and I went back to jail. So there about 4 weeks. But man, you know what? That was probably the longest one I did, 4 weeks, because I got clean in there. I got to like dummy up a little bit, but this time I had a son at home, so I didn't go right out to the streets. So right after I was done there, I had court. I said, hey, I'm not kidding. I had somebody helping me in there, an elder and stuff like that. I was like, hey, there's nothing helping me here in jail. I said, I actually want to go to treatment. I want to go to treatment. I wanted to go. He was like, okay, we'll put you in Pine Lodge. That's where they put all the inmates. I was like, okay. He's like, we'll let you go home for 2 weeks for Christmas with your baby. But if you run, you're going back for a long time. So you make sure you go to the treatment on this day. So, because it's a sentence, right? So I was like, okay, I will. Did I ever have such a good Christmas with my boy? I couldn't believe I got blessed to have Christmas with him because my brother was like, tell the judge all you want for Christmas is the charges dropped. But anyways, it wasn't all sunshines and rainbows and all this and that. I went to all these treatment centers. Each time I went, I learned something new. And along the way, like a lot of stuff happened. All those cousins I was with, having fun in the city and using with, they're all ending up in jail and they were dying. Most of them are gone today. We went to a birthday party last month and I couldn't believe there's only like 6 of us there. There used to be, we used to just have Candy Cane Park filled looking like Filipinos. So yeah, it was really weird. Yeah, it's really weird today. But now I have all these nieces and nephews, you know, and they just remind me of my cousins. Like they're funny too. These kids, Res kids are funny, man. They're the best kids to hang out with. So going down different, get out, stay sober for 6 months, use. Stay sober for 9 months, use. I don't know why nothing wasn't working and stuff like that, but my mom kept saying, no, it is working. Every time you get out, you stay sober longer, and when you go relapse, you're out there shorter. So the clean time got longer and the relapses got shorter. But this last time, you guys, something happened that was different because I was on TikTok. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna record my journey because I want to see my progress, right? And I'm gonna even record the ugly. I don't care if you guys see the ugly and this and that because, you know, it's not always gonna be a bad day. The sun always shines tomorrow. So anyways, I'm on TikTok because my cousin was like, she was a big TikTok star. Her name was Keheo Q-Tip. Honestly, this was the night before she got shot. She's like, hey, Nova, I'm getting my cousin back. She's like, come on, TikTok, man. She's like, let's do this together. Let's hustle. And I was like, I guess I could do that. So I went all night. I was going through TikTok. So I was like, man, my cousin's damn funny. She was funny. All of a sudden, I heard a walk. And I don't know why I can always know when my mom's walk is. I was like, oh, no, something happened. Nova, come up here. And then she told me my cousin was shot in the mouth that morning. Oh my God, did I ever scream like a baby when I went downstairs by myself? It was so hard. That was like my sister, my everything. We were so trauma bonded. Me and my cousin used to lay in bed with our legs locked. We were just close. And lost her. And then at the funeral, we lost my cousin Natasha. it was really traumatic, and I was like, what's going on here? And like all of us were freaking out, and my cousin, I could see his little head on the phone because he's in the pen, and he's like, what's going on there? Because they let them come to the funerals now with a video call, the people in the pen and stuff. We're like, Tasha just died, you know, and then all of a sudden this old man got his keys locked in the car, and I was like, what next? No, just kidding. Little people got him. So now we're all sitting around there, and like it was really traumatizing because we had to get Keo on the ground, and I was like, hey, I gotta get Keo on the ground first then I'll deal with Natasha. All the kids are freaking out, and then we get Keo on the ground, and then we come back, and now social workers are out there faster than the damn ambulance for my nieces and nephews. Like, what the hell's wrong with that? Like, shit pisses me off. So now they're trying to take my nieces and nephews, and the ambulance didn't even get there. We probably could have, there's all this regret. We could have drove her, and we could have did this, you know, me and my mom. But right after that, boom, 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 like 6 of them, you guys. Oh, Warren got shot. Oh, Justin got sick. He got drunk and ended up in the hospital. It was like every time you use, you guys, when you're an addict, you're just making yourself die even more. So even the next time for me, the next bad relapse can make me go under, you know. So bad for you. And yeah, a big bunch of them passing away, and I was just like, holy cow, this is hard. And TikTok knew because I was recording my journey, so they seen me fall pretty damn hard for about 4 months I went out there. And even people on the street be like, Nova, get in here. They tried to take me. I was like, no, just let me be. And they're like, you know, like, because they all knew me from TikTok. But all of a sudden it was allowance day because I was still getting my allowance because my mom had my kids. And so I was getting money. And I was like, man, if I do this, I'm probably going to die because I was already 80 pounds. And I phoned my brother, and he was mad at me because I stole his vehicle. And when I relapsed and did a big bunch of stupid stuff, and he charged me. And I phoned him, and I said, okay, I want to come home. And he's like, okay, I'll bring you home. And he came and brought me home, and he called the cops and put me in jail. But no, I really did go back to jail, but I only went for so now get this. Here's the story towards the end. I go back to jail, and the kids are with my mom, and I was like, man, but I was already sober for because what happened when I came home is I kept going into seizures. Just sounding seizures, how Nietzsche say it. And my brother is driving me to Mooseman real fast because I don't know what it is about the ambulances. They're real slow for Indians. He's like, they're not gonna get here, and he was scared that I was gonna go under. We go in there, and he's like, you gotta give her something. You gotta give her something. She's gonna die. And he just gave me 6 milligrams of Suboxone. I was still 6, just gave me enough where I wasn't totally sick, but I wasn't feeling good either. Just like what they did to our people, feed them just a little bit, but enough not to kill them, but enough just to make them feel hungry, you know? Same thing there. So anyways, I got sober. It's 2 months, and people were getting mad that my mom, she was just like my cookum, because my cookum was the same way. I used to get mad when my mom would come pick me up for my cookums. Like, why do I have to go back with her? And they're like, because that's your mom, that's your mom. And now I understand that because years later, people didn't want me around my kids. My mom's like, that's their mom, that's their mom. But I wasn't allowed to go see them until I was better, right? So anyways, somebody called the cops on me, and I got picked up, and I went back to remand. And when I went there, I was like, geez, man, if I go to Pine Grove, I'm in here for a long time. I want to go to treatment. I don't want to be in here. And they're like, hey, sis, you going to Pine Grove? I was like, I don't know yet. I have court. All of a sudden, it was the 3rd day before. The next day was my court date. And I was like, oh, man, I'm getting out probably. I said, they didn't come get me. All of a sudden, a minute later, they come in there. Nova, you're going to Pine Grove. Get your stuff on. Because they just let you know. And I was like, geez, because I wasn't getting clean in jail, you guys. You know, when I went in there, my cellie was selling, and there's people in there just dying all around me. And even in there, I was like, what's going on? What's going on in here? You know, people just dying all over the place. Guards letting that stuff come in. So it's a weekend, and they send me to Pine Grove. And all of a sudden, I see the guards. They're like, Nova, we haven't seen you since 2017. And I was like, yeah, man, I had a really bad relapse. And they're like, how's your kid? I was like, oh, I had another one. And I'm on the res and stuff like that. And they're like, we seen you on TikTok. And I was like, yeah. So anyways, those guards are going through the thing, and they're like, what the heck? Because it's like a computer there. They're like, Nova's not supposed to be here. She has court tomorrow. And they're like, we're overcrowded. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, you're going back. So I got to go on the bus 2 times that day. And the next day I got out. I was just on that bus there just like this, like a boat laying down in there. Cuff from here to my legs, Yeah, so I got out and I remember my mom having to see me like that. She was just giving me shit in front of the judge. You dummy up now. There's no need for you to be out there on the street. You have a home. I came home and you know what? It was like a blessing in disguise because the social workers got involved and I went to a 4-month land-based therapeutic treatment center. And me and my kids had to be separated for like the first couple weeks, but they were there, right? Man, this treatment center was so deadly, man. I was there for 4 months in a cabin. We had to walk to our bathroom. We had to walk to the kitchen, but we were picking medicine one day or else we were beating. We were setting nets, hunting, trapping. Man, we were just living the old life again around a big bunch of Cree speakers because it was in Montreal Lake. It was deadly, man. Oh, 4 months of that, my kids too, singeing moose nose and just eating it. They don't care if you're in there, you're hungry. You have to eat one traditional meal there out of the meals that you get. It was pretty deadly. And I took, even like skinning the moose or even with the fish when you're, well, I call it boning and scaling. When you're doing all that stuff, it's like medicine and you like respect Mother Earth and you thank her and stuff like that. And being on the water, holy cow, man, it's just like something happened. All of a sudden, like all this, I started to forget the people from the street. All of a sudden, I started to remember things from my childhood. All of a sudden, I'm remembering Cree. So even being out there on drugs and all that, you guys, all of a sudden the Cree came back. And I was like, what the hell, man, what's going on here? I thought it was cooked. How come these damn speaking just machine gun Cree in the north? So anyways, there for 4 months, I got a man. No, just kidding. No, it was just women there. And they had couples there, you guys, but they had to stop it because they were fooling around with each other and fighting. Yeah, that was really happening. So now it's just women. So anyways, I went in there and I was really sad I was leaving because honestly, I felt so connected there, being Nietzsche. And that's what our people need for these reconciliation dollars. We have to have centers like that all over the place. And for men too, why do our men have to go to the pen to find out who they are? Give them that lodge when they go to Dojak, you know? It's just, why? They don't have to wait until they're 40 years old to get better. So they need to have centers like this. Being Nietzsche, man, that's what's going to help us. Now my musham, the ones that know this way usually come back. Oh, and we're going to ceremony too in there. I was like, oh my God, this is what he was talking about. So now light just came on and it clicked. And 4 months, did 4 months in there. Get out, all of a sudden I'm like, hey, I said, you need aftercare. You need aftercare after you're done. So my mom and us were just on those prevention workers, like wickedly. Even me, I'm still on them. You got to be here for Nova, the mental health therapist. You got to come check on Nova as soon as she's out. So I had all these people checking on me, giving me rides. That prevention worker was giving me rides because when you get out, you don't have no license or car. They're giving me rides to my therapy sessions, taking me to my boys to their hockey and their skating. Just had to my NA. Did that for me for about 3-4 months until I got my license back. And it was really good, going to ceremony too. But that's what I did different. Like with ceremony and NA, you know, having that fellowship and those group of people. And it's still hard, you guys. You know, it's still hard today. You know, healing is like you go up and down like this and you could even have mental breaks because you're learning how to deal with everything sober. Like I never did this since I was 9 years old. I never lived like this before with a clear mind who just cooked. But it gets better. It gets better, and I learn something new whenever I make a mistake. You know, I learn something new. So that's what our people need, you know, and not to glorify that lifestyle. Our people in the city, they need stuff like that. My dad opened up a place called Fox Valley where these people could go have elder services and go to ceremonies. That's what we need to feed our heart and our medicine wheel and just to be balanced with all that, man. You know, that's all we need, and we're going to get better. So with that, I'll end it with that. Hananaskabak kakyao.
That's about one more like really warm round of applause. Like, good on you. Yeah. See, it's the power of storytelling that really brings these
Watch out for that
out.
Asian man in the middle. He was giving you the stink eye on the way by, and he's from PA. We gangsta too.
What a good sport. Good sport. All right. Well, with that in mind, we are going to take a little bit of a break.
Oh, we have a draw.
Oh, yeah. Just squat. Your blue tickets. Oh, mine's over there. I shouldn't win anyway. It's okay. No. I tried to ask for two tickets because I'm two-spirit, right? But she didn't give me one.
This is a blanket donation by General Manager Rowena. How do you say her last name? Mattern. Okay, she's donating this for everybody here, so give her a big round of applause. It's a Buffalo Cross Premium Collection, valued at over $500. All right, I'm doing it.
You do it.
Okay, little wire from Muskeg Lake. Here we go. Eyes down, dabbers up, top of the house. Under the old clickety-click. Oh, a 66. All right, last four numbers. 3337. Going once. Where's the bingo? Where is he? Nothing? Nothing? What do we say? Redraw.
Redraw.
All right, lucky people. Nathan holding 2 tickets. I don't know why. 3382.
Oh, I hear it. Oh, there you are.
Oh, so close, yeah? All right, you're on a quick break, and we'll be right back with our last presentation of our gathering.
Yeah. Should we get inside? Great job.
Hold up.
That's what this song is made for. We honor the rock.
She doesn't need the HDMI or anything. I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna take it and put it away though.
All right, we're just about set here as everybody's making their way back in. You can come on up there, partner. You know what? I was sitting here this morning and our good friends and relatives from MLTC had a baggie full of condoms that they kindly came and gifted me. And I was a little overwhelmed at the moment, but it wasn't actually for me. And I was like, well, thank you, ladies. I'm not used to Indigenous women being so forward to us Muskeg Lakers. But it's kind of neat what they're doing here, and it's promoting safe sex. And so they have all their bands from their tribal council, and I'm just going to name off a few. We do have some that have been given away, but this stack right here has been claimed by my co-captain here. Wow. No, just kidding. Anyways, they all have a little labeling of each of the bands from Meadow Lake Tribal Council. This one is Are You Willin' in Dillon? And this one, Safely Muss on Flying Dust. Dream Come True in Canoe. Don't Panic Over Minnestickwin Bannock. And that's not the thin bannock, that's the thick stuff.
That's a fluffy bannock.
Love or lust in flying dust. Hide your snake in Turner Lake. Mikasu, you wrap it. Patch it, then attach it. You're getting a lot of kicks out of this, eh? This one says ski pat and rubbers. You give her Buffalo River.
Buffalo River? Buffalo River?
You Buffalo Rivers. And then the one I got here, want a spoon in Loon. There you go, MLTC. Give them a round of applause. That's how they promote the safe stuff. But another way to use these, you're driving down the highway home, you hold that sucker out the window, and you got the biggest balloon ever.
Yeah, and they certainly come in handy for a really robust balloon water bite. Oh my gosh, it's the end of the day. Water fight balloons. My God, I'm trying to say something here, but I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I think we all get the visual.
Needless to say.
A water balloon pillow fight is what you were looking for?
Well, that's what I'm going to be doing in bed with these branded condoms at some point in time. We have had such an awesome day, past 2 days, in fact. And today, just to hear that there are so many amazing stories and lived experiences and funny lived experiences from all three of our presenters, four presenters, I should say. It has been a great, informative space. But now we get to continue with that talk, and we get to bring up Carrie Dawn Watney to be able to go into our Outstanding Community Leadership and Recognition Awards and present these to two great individuals. So Carrie Dawn Watney, feel free to come on up, and I'm gonna grab some coffee. Yeah.
I don't know, I'm good. Thank you. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Carrie Watney, and I am the Director of Health for Mosquito Grizzly Bear Head Lean Man. I've had the honor and the pleasure to be in this position for the past 2 years, helping to lead both our healthcare and wellness teams and our daycare crew. I'm overwhelmed by just everything that's happened over the past 2 days. It's been absolutely outstanding work from our entire team, and including the Know Your Status Steering Committee. It's without these brilliant people that got together to build something really beautiful that I hope has a lasting impact on just everyone that's joined us today, but here afterwards as well, as we raise awareness and education about which is what exactly Know Your Status and the awareness that it tries to raise in our communities. So part of Know Your Status and part of this conference gathering is recognizing where some outstanding leadership exists in our communities and those who do this work every single day. A lot of the people that we get to work with do this work without complaints and from their hearts, and knowing where people are, where their lived experiences are, and much of those lived experiences that we heard today. So I'm very, very proud and honored to be able to recognize two individuals that are part of my team today for all of the work that they've done. And so I'm going to invite my mental health coordinator, Dan Albert. If you guys don't know him, he's going to come help me today with the presentation, and Susie's going to come help me as well. So I'll just ask you guys to bring the 2 blankets and the gifts, if that's, thank you. So our first individual that we are honoring this afternoon is our very own community health nurse, Hope Sakura. I'm gonna ask Hope if you can come on up here. So for many of those that maybe you're not familiar with First Nations Health and the staffing that we have, our communities are very often only staffed with one nurse, one community health nurse that does it all. And for us, that's Hope, and Hope's been part of Mosquito for a few years now. She joined and moved to the area during COVID times and then gained employment with Mosquito shortly after that, and she's been a wonderful addition. I have a little bit of a speech, and I'll try to get through without stopping, but it's an honor and a joy to stand here to recognize and celebrate our community health nurse, Hope, our recipient of this year's Community Leadership Award. Hope's name could not be more fitting because she embodies exactly that, hope in every aspect of her work. Whether it's in the realm of STBBI prevention, public health initiatives, or family wellness, Hope consistently leads with compassion, integrity, and dedication. Over the past year, Hope achieved a 91% immunization rate for children's ages 0 to 2 within Mosquito. And as the only nurse, leading this initiative, the number just isn't impressive. It's a reflection of her countless hours, relentless follow-up, and the unwavering commitment to the health of our community's youngest members. But statistics alone can't capture the full story. Hope is known for going above and beyond, creating initiatives and stepping in to help without hesitation, and always finding a way to bring joy and laughter to her work. It's not unusual to find her in the office long after hours, patiently waiting for clients and meeting them where they are, and making sure that their needs are met with empathy and respect. Her nursing approach brings comfort, strength, and a deep sense of collaboration, the very qualities that inspire those around her and strengthen the community she serves. This past year, Hope also faced an immense personal loss, as the passing of her father after a courageous battle with cancer. One thing about Hope during this past year is her commitment to the community. She continued to go back and forth between seeing and spending time with her family and her father, and still coming to clinic to run her baby clinics in between that time. So Hope, I want you to know that your father would be so proud to see you and being honored here today. Just like we all are, your resilience, grace, and compassion continues to shine through everything that you do. And on behalf of all of us, congratulations. It's an incredible privilege to work alongside you, to watch you grow, and to celebrate this well-deserved recognition. And thank you for reminding us every day what nursing leadership looks like in action. So for our second recipient for today, I'm going to ask Daniel to come up and share some words.
All right. Thanks, Gary. All right, so our next individual that is receiving an award, you'd come up, Hazel Mooseman. She's a little shy. Oh, Jack, you want to come up too? Just kidding. All right. Hazel Mooseman, it has been an honor to stand here and recognize someone whose kindness, strength, and spirit have deeply shaped our community. Hazel, our family wellness worker, and a key support in the community health program. For the past 5 years, Hazel has been a constant source of care and guidance for so many families. Being from the nation herself, Mosquito Grizzly Bear Head Leanman First Nation, Hazel knows our people, their stories, their challenges, and their strengths. That connection has been an incredible gift. She walks along families with understanding and compassion, meeting them where they are and helping them move forward with dignity and hope. Also working alongside hope. Hazel is at her heart a cultural person, Everything she does is grounded in ceremony, respect, humility, and her deep connection to the Creator. She reminds us that true wellness is more than physical health. It's spiritual, emotional, and a cultural balance. Her way of working brings healing, meaning, and belonging to everyone she touches. Over the past couple of years, it has been a privilege to work alongside Hazel. She continues to lead with quiet strength and unwavering professionalism. Always steady, always humble, always putting others first. This year, Hazel has faced a loss that touched all of us deeply. The unexpected passing of her daughter, it was a loss that rippled through our community. Because her daughter was part of all of us too, Hazel, I know that she is here with us in spirit. And I know she would be clapping the loudest to see you on this stage, being recognized for all the hard work, your courage, and your love for this community. Hazel, thank you for walking with our families, for leading with grace, and for reminding us of the strength that comes from culture, faith, and compassion. We are so proud of you, grateful for you, and honored to celebrate with you. Thank you, Hazel. And also, I would like just again to thank everyone who has participated in the last couple days. This is our big first event here at the Interpretive Arts Center, like Chief Tanya said yesterday. And as you know, we did have the hiccup this morning. For all of those that are in attendance, you guys know what that hiccup was this morning. And I thank you all for being patient with everything that we continue to work hard to get everything functioning properly. And we just want to give thanks to everyone that was involved today, to the speakers. I know a lot have traveled a long way to come here. And I want to give thanks to Alina, who is the mural's not up anymore right now, but for her mural that will be up and will be showcased across the province and across Canada. Thank you, guys.
Another big round of applause for our recipients here today, friends and relatives. Thank you for the work and congratulations on a well-deserved award from our community.
It is really awesome to hear about some of this work that's happening on the ground and in these spaces that really make a difference in people's every day-to-day lives. And the dedication that these staff have shown, the empathy that they show, the commitment to staying those long hours to showcase to patients and clients that they matter, that their health matters, that them being able to walk and access this health care is huge. But we have some fun to look at now. We actually have Elena Sterrett is going to come up here and talk about some of the graphic work that they have been doing over these past 2 days. So you get to see and know some of the imagery and meaning behind it that Elena has been doing. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Tim and Allie to throw up Elena's graphic.
All right. Thank you. Awesome. Cool. Let me give myself a layer here so that I can talk. Awesome. Yeah, so the last 2 days have been nothing short of amazing. The conversations that have been going on in this room have been extremely powerful, and just it's been an honor to be able to be here and listen to you guys. So I'm really appreciative that you guys let me be here and do that. So we started off on day one. In the morning, there was pipe ceremony, and I wanted to make sure that that was included because I felt it was important to have our culture in there and the ceremonies that we were doing in this space. It wasn't everyone, but some people did participate in that. And then down here, I wanted to put culture as our foundation underneath the teepees, and I did 4 teepees because everything's in 4s, the medicine wheel, and also right now set up, there's only 4 teepees set up. So that's why I added those, and I put the words culture as foundation under that because it's the foundation. Obviously, we have our wonderful facilitators who have been keeping us on track. Jack and Cal, I made sure to put their little emojis up there. And then Chief Tanya Stone. Chief Tanya Stone also is up here because she did some wonderful opening words, and I thought that that was important. And then also here's one of the quotes she said was, "Believe in our people." When we talk about ancestral science, it's utilizing traditional knowledge, and it needs to be community-based and driven because everybody has a story. We need to ensure that we check our biases at the door, and that this type of work is empowerment, and it's empowering for you guys, and it's empowering for the clients that you serve. Up here, it says, "Our degrees come from the universe." I thought that this was really beautiful. And that instead of it coming from a university, it's the universe, and that our language comes from the land. And I included a little icon here that has a feather at the end to tie into, on our agendas, there's some little teal feathers at the bottom there. And then just some things around education, such as making sure that it's client first, there's cultural safety, it's culturally appropriate, quality care, and making sure that we're meeting people where they're at. And then down here, when you own your status, you are powerful, and that it is your diagnosis is yours. And then we're kind of moving into like my work in progress section. This was stuff that I was starting today or just putting in so that I had placeholders. So in here, in the sweetgrass, obviously it was a medicine that we spoke about a lot today, so I wanted to include that. And it says connection, and then when we gather, good things happen. And the little people in here that are being drawn are gonna be based off of the memorial that's just outside the building, the women that are standing there, but I wanted to make sure that the child was holding the elder's hand just to show that knowledge transfer between the two. And then over here, everything is interconnected. I did that beside, the buffalo was drawn yesterday, but I did that beside him because we were talking a lot about how they help the ecosystem, such as walking through tall grass or walking through snow, how their hooves will leave little pools of water for birds and stuff, and that the animals, the earth, everything is all interconnected. And then up here, just some important things I was hearing, such as creating relationships, a cultural connection, sense of belonging, and partnerships. Up here, I'm drawing some versions of some ancestors looking down on the entire piece, and then it says, "When we heal, our ancestors heal." And then this is the building, the clinic, and I'm currently in the process of tracing it out because I want to make sure that it actually looks like it. So it's a little bit bare bones right now, but I have some words and some notes still on the side that I want to include into this, so it's going to be kind of thrown into there. And then we also had lots of talks today around our two-spirited and indigiqueer people, and I wanted to put the little rainbow here talking about our spirits because healthy spirits is healthy people. And then I'm gonna make sure to include the two-spirit feathers, and then this is the little medicine bundle that we were talking about around that. And then I'll just share some of the notes I have as well so that you guys know that I'm not lying about that. Some other things that I heard were things such as respect, healing is not linear, our sex is sacred, ceremonies is all we need, it feeds our heart, we need support, and that storytelling is powerful. Conversations, love got added onto here, and lived experiences, and then some stuff from just now, hope and humility, true health isn't just physical, and ensuring that we have compassion. So those are some of the things that I also plan to include on the graphic. It should be done sometime by the end of the day tomorrow. I just have to take it and clean it up. But if anyone has any questions, any concerns, if you feel like I didn't represent something properly, or you think that there's something that I missed and needs to be included, please feel free to come chat to me. I'll either be in the corner or sometimes I'm in the tech room talking to our awesome AV team. So just come find me. I have no ego about it. This is meant to be a representation of your guys' work, your day, your conversations. So if you see something that needs to be changed, please feel free to come chat to me. And I think we'll probably just leave this up for the rest of the day. I don't think we have any presentations left, so I will pass it off back to our facilitators.
Oh, too jazzy. Like, it is nice to see, number one, such cute looking people up in the top left corner, but I'm biased. You also got my good side, so thank you very much, Elena. It has been a full 2 days. We have learned a lot. I know for myself, and I'm just going to give a quick reflection. When it comes to revitalization efforts, when it comes to the aspect of healing, and how symbolic it is that we are here at Mosquito Grizzly Bear Heads Lean Man's First Nation. When we look at the Know Your Status campaign and the aspect of sexual health and the impact that it has on Two-Spirit people, and how for a number of years we've actually had to go away for hiding or for safekeeping in spaces that unfortunately are not our own home communities because of these viewpoints, these Euro-colonial viewpoints that unfortunately have been instilled in some of these spaces and then have pushed us off. Now, the reason why I bring that up and the reason why I think it's so symbolic that we are here at this First Nation is because we are now decolonizing and we're bringing back the buffalo at the same time. So what I think is beautiful is that we are seeing this movement of reclaiming buffalo and yet also reclaiming our ancestral acceptance of all people and diversity that happens. So that diversity that's happening with the buffalo, and they're bringing back all of these sacred animals into these spaces. At the same time, we're also bringing all of these sacred, some people call me an animal, all of these sacred people back into our own home communities. So for me, it means a lot to be here. I've had such an awesome time with each and every one of y'all. Had some really good belly laughs, y'all. And as I go back to my home fire and to the bed with my ninapem, my husband. Thank you for the condoms, by the way. Just kidding.
Flying Dutch, MLTs.
Yeah. I'm gonna go spoon in Saskatoon, so. But I've had an
absolute. Good.
Thank you. I've had an absolute pleasure with y'all. Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to hearing about the initiatives that you're going to be doing in your own communities.
I'm going to big round of applause for Jack Saddleback. Friends and relatives as well. You know, I haven't worked with Jack before, but I feel like kindred spirits. And and thank you for making this weekend special for me as well. You know, I have the opportunity to MC many events, and I want to thank Carrie Whitney and her staff and everybody from Mosquito Grizzly Bear Head Lean Man for involving me in this way. So hi, tinigi, merci cho, merci beaucoup, and for those that don't understand the language, thank you. We've lost John Berlin. Apparently he came from Battleford and went to North Battleford around Saskatoon and taken the back roads here, not going to make it. We've asked Elder Alice Watney, and we gave her some protocol to do a closing prayer. She's going to do it in her own mind here. She's low on oxygen, but we appreciate her leading us in that prayer in your own way, in your own minds. Let's pray for one another, pray for our communities, pray for the clients that we work with, and let's send ourselves off in a good way here. And I'm going to ask Alice to lead us in that prayer.